What is going on, everybody? It is episode 604 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. Today, we obviously have a special guest in the studio with us, ZUBY. Hello.
What's up? Happy to be here.
You?
I'm doing very well. I just flew into the USA yesterday.
First day here, technically?
Yeah, I haven't even been in the country for 24 hours.
But you don't believe in jet lag. We were talking about that off air. If you don't believe in it, it doesn't exist.
Mind over matter.
You know what? I believe other people get it.
Yeah.
I do believe other people get it.
Because the mind is powerful.
But I am personally immune. I don't mess with it.
He just built different.
To me, it's not the jet lag. I can usually deal with that. It's more the sitting immobile for long periods of time. Like 25 years of skating, just my knees don't agree with me when I'm in a plane for longer than 4 hours at a time. I have to like get up and stretch and walk about.
Yeah, it's good to do that anyway. You should do it. Yeah.
But with jet lag, so you were explaining, you're like, yo, if you get in and you want to go to bed and it's 2 PM, just stay up.
Just don't.
Do your best.
All right, you want my quick tips on how to beat jet lag? Okay, all
Here's
right.
the how-to.
This is as a global international traveler, over 50 flights last year, 14 countries.
Damn.
Okay, number one, don't believe in it. Mind over matter. Don't believe in it. Number two, very practical. Immediately adjust to the time zone when you land. If you land at night, go to bed. If it's bedtime, go to bed. If it's daytime, no matter how tired you are, just stay awake until it's bedtime and then go to bed. When you wake up in the morning, exercise. Go outside, get some sunlight, reset your circadian rhythm, and do a little bit of exercise. Go for a walk, lift some weights. It doesn't have to be a lot, just do it. Last one, I guess it's obvious to me because I do it anyway, but stay hydrated. Yeah. And the fact I don't drink alcohol, I'm sure helps with that as well.
Anything that doesn't like alter your senses.
Oh my goodness. It's like it's normal to just get effed up before you go on a flight, even a short one.
And then people complain about jet lag. It's like, well, yeah, you've done everything wrong. It's like a lot of people travel like they're trying to get jet lag. They'll be on the plane. They'll be drinking.
Popping
they get
pills,
in.
drinking whiskey.
Exactly. Then they get in. It's afternoon and they fall asleep at 3 p.m. and wake up at 9 p.m. and then they're like, why am I not?
That's some self-sabotage.
The idea of, given my past, I did my fair share of substances on planes, but the idea of drinking on a plane is absolutely bonk. I just never liked drinking anyway, so the idea of being drunk.
I'm like, what substances were you?
Well, there's just, for me, it's like, it doesn't make sense because there's nothing social about being on a plane, so why would I drink? Like, I would still be drinking alone, which is weird to me.
It just sounds miserable to me.
Don't drink, folks. Alcohol is poison. I'm anti-alcohol.
There you go. We had a $20 one right there. Do you want to read that one, Mary?
Oh, from High22, he said, what is Mary's opinion on the pro-choice pastor that was on the Culture War?
I saw them talking about that today. I didn't catch the episode.
I didn't watch Culture War today, but that sounds contradictory to me.
Can one be pro-choice and a pastor?
Well, apparently you can, but I just don't believe females can be pastors anyway because I'm Catholic.
It was a dude.
Is it?
It was a dude.
Okay,
I could be. Guys, correct me. I could be wrong.
I didn't watch Culture War, so I don't know. But I've heard there's a pastor who has an OnlyFans too. It's doesn't exactly make sense.
I'm gonna tell you guys something that might sound crazy to some people, but it might totally make sense to other people. So some of you may know or may not know. I grew up in the Middle East, and I've just gone back to living in the Middle East. I live in the UAE. I grew up in Saudi Arabia. These are obviously totally Islamic countries. Well, Saudi Arabia is anyway. Actually, 20% of the Dubai population is Christian. But when I'm in those Muslim Gulf countries, I feel more like I'm in a Christian country than when I'm in the UK or USA. Mm-hmm. In terms of the actual people's behavior and values and morality.
Given that it's like a minority there of Christians, maybe that means, you have to be more convicted in your beliefs to keep the integrity of that institution.
I just mean the society and culture is much closer to what a Christian society would look like.
Because it's more rigidly enforced.
60% of this country is self-identified as Christian?
I think it's actually still higher than that.
UK's no longer majority.
Yeah.
I'm from England. UK's no
They're all
longer majority.
All the churches are museums now.
Well, they're turning into mosques in many cases. And people are complaining about it, but it's like, guys, you can't have a vacuum here. If you're not going to defend your own religion in churches and you're going to have this garbage that led to this conversation, and you're going to have pastors out there running OnlyFans and saying that they're putting up rainbow flags and doing whatever goofy stuff they're doing, it completely dilutes what the faith is supposed to be.
I feel like there's like a spotlight on me, like for me in my traditional liberalism, where Mary would say, "This is your fault. It's because of your beliefs that it all came to this."
You're a victim of it.
I'm a victim of it. Okay. Well, I don't self-identify as a victim, so I guess everybody else is a victim of my victimhood.
You're a victor, not a victim.
Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, but before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. We have passed 111,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. Share these videos with your friends. As you guys know, the best way that you can help a show like ours grow is to share these live streams, the segments, all of that stuff with your friends and family and all the people you follow and who follow you on social media. It really is the best way to help a show grow. And all super chats, as you know, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion and we will read those super chats right then and there. You know, perhaps you have burning questions about everything we just discussed. Maybe you have questions about jet lag. Maybe you have proof that jet lag is real and you want to share that, and you have to share it right now. Just remember, all super chats, $20 and over. We'll discuss it. So what are we going to get into today? Well, first things first, actor Winston Duke. He's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, plays M'Baku's in Black Panther. Yep. He's been an actor in quite a few things. I originally saw him on the show Person of Interest as a character named Minnie, which was a long time ago, and I actually did kind of get the feeling even back then, and I mean, not a long time ago, it was like 2016 or 2015 or something like that, but I could tell that the dude had chops and that he was going to go places.
You saw him for the first time and you were like, that's Batman.
I didn't think he was Batman. Okay, so he's campaigning right now. He wants to play live action Batman. He wants them to race swap Batman. There is precedent here because he does play Batman in an audio series, which is of course very different because, you know, it's not on screen. So
I wouldn't call that precedent, but okay.
The lightest of precedents.
Yes.
There. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about this controversial finding that supposedly says that sex scenes in movies are down 40%, to which anybody who has a streaming service says, are you sure about that?
Or anyone who watched Oppenheimer.
Yes. So we're going to talk about that because it goes with this article from these comments from Victoria Justice, who talked about how in a recent film that she did, on the very first day of shooting, they had her do a sex scene. It's a real icebreaker.
It was uncomfy.
Just go figure. So we're going to talk about that. Also, there's this article that this OnlyFans woman, I'll call her a woman, I'm not going to call her Thot, OnlyFans Thot says that the Biden administration paid her to create political propaganda. This is the America I always dreamed of, folks. This is
the American dream.
This is the American dream. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the very heated man versus bear in the woods debate that seems to be taking over on Twitter. At least it was still going on this morning when I got up. Like
it's been going for like a week.
Do you want to explain, just so that we have a good precedent set on what it is, what the original tweet actually said, the people talking about
I saw a street interview video where a man went around to a bunch of women and asked, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a man or with a bear? And it's an unspecified man. It could be anyone. And they all answered bear. So that sparked a lot of debate. Seems like it could be misandry, could be a concern for women's safety. We'll get into it.
We'll talk about it. So guys, again, hit the like button on this video and subscribe, please. So if you guys are ready, we will just get ready and go. You ready?
Let's go.
Ready.
You ready?
You ready?
Always ready.
He's ready. All right, first things first. This is just funny. So this clip is apparently recycled, but I do want you to see this. This is clever advertising as far as I'm concerned. This is for a Netflix show called Griselda. If you were a drug queen pin, this is exactly how I would market the show about it.
It's a truck snorting cocaine.
Look, I don't advocate for what's going on, but I'll say that the marketing is clever.
And it's actual cocaine.
Yeah.
It's real cocaine.
That would be the most expensive advertising campaign ever if that was true.
They're going all out.
Yes. Look, I'm all for these studios coming up with anything other than sending celebrities to talk to interviewers, because anytime they go talk to interviewers, they say something stupid.
That was the beauty of the strike. They had to get creative with how to market these movies. And
is that London or New York?
Looked like London to me.
It looks like London.
Yeah.
Looked like London to me.
It looks like London. It looks like London to me.
Like, I always make the joke about the 80s coke snorting movie executives.
Yes.
This is what they would have dreamed of doing back in the 80s. like the dudes who made RoboCop, the dudes who greenlit RoboCop right now would be like, that is awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure they're cheering for this.
They would have loved it. Look, and that doesn't look cheap to do. You have to like modify the...
Gotta close down a whole street for this.
Yeah. And all for like, what I like about it though is like, it's all for like a phone video.
Right.
This isn't like a high quality Netflix. You know, this isn't in widescreen shot.
Well, it's just
on
a random
red
person
camera.
like, look what I saw today.
I mean, that's how it should be. Kind of like when we were talking about the TikTok Riz party. I don't know if you want to go into the lore of the TikTok Riz party, but these kids went viral on the internet, and Mark Jacobs hired them for an ad, and it's literally done with like a phone. They're not even wearing microphones. It's just done with like the phone audio, because that's how you go viral now. The more produced,
make it look
the worse.
organic.
Is there anything you can think of like that, like recently, that like ends up being worth somebody getting an ad campaign?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I know that in the music world, they obviously, I mean, for a long time, they've been doing all sorts of various types of guerrilla marketing, shall we call it.
Right.
One interesting shift that I've noticed over the course of my career, which started half my lifetime ago, is when I started out in music, it used to be being an independent artist. I mean, that's when everyone used to call it unsigned artist, right? Like being an independent artist wasn't cool. And what's so funny now is over the past 5 to 10 years, it's become so cool to be an independent artist that even artists who are signed claim to be independent, and they market them as independent. So
or they like, I think Megan Thee Stallion, like she launched her own record label, but it's just a subsidiary of a larger record label. But it looks cool, right?
Yeah,
like, I'm independent.
Yeah, they all do it. It's interesting how it's changed over under 20 years. It used to be like, oh, you know, when you're going to get a record deal, or oh, this person is unsigned. It was always unsigned. You barely even hear the word unsigned now. Now it's like independent and major, and even people on majors and on independent big labels, they try to fake the funk that they're independent because it works better from an organic marketing angle.
And plus, everybody wants to be the one who finds the artist when they're new. Nobody wants to be the one who finds them after they're cool. They want to be the one to be able to say, I like their old stuff better. Yeah. I'm like, in the state of Minnesota, underground rap has always been a huge thing. So, like, underground rap artists like Atmosphere, Sage Francis.
I've met Sage Francis.
Yeah, like, still one of the greatest political, like, making great political rap 20 years ago. Long, like, criticizing the Bush administration. It was very, very big back then to be an unsigned artist or to work for a local label, to be signed to a local label, because you felt like you were part of something that was bigger and more organic than what the major labels were putting out, which always felt very prepackaged and very sanitized.
Yeah. And it still is, well, maybe not sanitized, but certainly still prepackaged. But they do a lot of marketing now, from what I understand, to make it look like it's organic when it's not. I don't use TikTok, and I've never logged into it, and I've never downloaded the app, but I know that TikTok is a massive vehicle for that. The way a lot of artists and songs now blow up is, it's not organic, but it's made to look like it's organic.
It's like jeans with holes in them. You make your jeans and you tear them out, and you actually tear them at the knee to sell them.
I got a 20 from Francisco Sanchez Jr. saying, sorry, I'm late. That's okay, buddy.
It's okay. Thank you for showing up. I'm going to like your comment being right here. There. We appreciate that. All right. Let us move on then, shall we? This is interesting. Marvel is once again proving to be, not just Marvel, I should say. Marvel and Disney are proving to fail spectacularly all the way to the top of the charts. If you were looking for the opposite of a box office success, it would be this list right here. Biggest box office failures of 2023. 4 of the 5 of these are Disney properties, totaling $664 million in losses at the box office.
Everything is fine. This is fine. Nothing to see here.
It literally is the Simpsons meme of everything burning. It's like, it's fine. It's fine.
Except for The Flash from Warner Brothers. That lost $155 million.
Jeez.
They did do the right thing, though, and choose the scene from the Marvels that was like the song and dance number.
The worst.
That really is the thing that should be used to display how bad that movie was. But the question is, like, how long can these studios continue to do this after tallying up just unbelievably huge losses every year?
For Disney, at least, it can go on forever.
Yeah.
They're literally too big to fail.
They just had the board members vote to continue to see if they were going to add Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo to the board and see if they could get the company to go in another direction. And they said, no, we love the direction this company's going. We're just going to continue to let Bob Iger drive things off a cliff.
Who is it you said they were going to add?
So Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo were part of a company called the Trian Group, which was trying to gain board seats to Disney to try and bring about change at the company, to try and change the direction that they're going with their productions and stuff like that. And, you know, just like anybody, if you know anything about boardroom politics, that takeovers or stuff like that are pretty commonplace. But for a company the size of Disney, that's big news. There's a lot of channels that cover it very, very extensively, but they put a lot of work into making sure that these two dudes weren't able to get the votes they needed to get a seat on the board. And so that means that we're guaranteed a couple more years of the same type of losing ideas that give you $155 million from The Flash. So these were the Marvels. $273 million loss. Indiana Jones, $143 million loss. If I remember correctly, OMB Reviews would dispute that number and say it's even higher. And says that.
I'm sure these are conservative estimates.
Wish, $131 million in losses. Haunted Mansion, $117 million in losses.
Wow.
I can't think of is there another industry that you can think of where you can
hemorrhage money like that? Yeah, politics.
Yeah.
Very true. You know, maybe the CEO of Disney should have a term with an expiration date until they get voted out. Right?
Well, Bob Iger is supposedly going to be leaving in 2026.
Did he announce that?
I believe
already?
that they're looking at planning whoever's going to take over from there now. But the point is, other than politics, where they don't earn the money, so there's no actual, production. They don't actually produce anything of value.
They produce the money.
Yes. I can't think of another industry that allows you to just fail that spectacularly and not suffer any consequences.
Banking?
Moving the money around.
Yeah, banking. I mean, because then you get the bailouts, right?
That is true.
Well, they get ESG bailouts at Disney.
Yeah. And they did, and a lot of these companies got funds from COVID.
Yeah.
They got bailout money from COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I guess, look, it's also a one-dimensional
all your tax
argument.
dollars. All your tax dollars.
It's also a one-dimensional argument in a way because they don't just make their money through the movies. It's the parks, which are suffering but still make way more money.
I was actually going to ask, I don't care for Disney, but have their parks started to come back? Are they on an upswing or are they still declining in revenue?
It depends on where you get your information from and stuff.
They're definitely still profitable,
Yes.
and they're raising prices all the time to make it no longer a family venue. It's a dinks venue.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
The dual income, no kids demographic is huge for Disney.
Yep.
That's
Even though they're technically making entertainment for kids.
It's not
really
surprising,
for
but
adults.
it's also sad. I don't know.
I think that's just the infantilization of the American adult now.
Yes.
I was thinking the other day, this is kind of deep and philosophical, but that's the kind of person I am. I was thinking how historically the concept of adolescence is probably pretty new. I think the period of adolescence probably used to be 1 to 3 years max. It was kind of like you were a child and then you're an adult. Okay, you're 18, it's time to get married, have a family, go to war, do whatever big boy stuff, right? Whereas now we live in such a comfortable age, time, and place where you can actually extend adolescence indefinitely. You don't really ever have to grow up. You can be a 42-year-old who, for all intents and purposes, is living like a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old. And I think that's a really new concept. When you even talk about dinks and, them going, even just saying that word makes me, but these adults who are totally obsessed with Disney and they're you're acting like a child. It's strange. And I'm not saying people are, obviously people are allowed to do whatever they want. But I just think it's quite a fascinating thing about society that you're marketing. Disney is very obviously a child. Our whole lives, right? Disney has been for the kids. For kids and for families with kids. So the idea that there's this rising number of adults that are kind of taking over in terms of their core demographic is weird.
I feel like it's a response to, was 2 weeks ago we had a discussion, or was it last week we had the discussion about corporate America is destroying our will to live. And the point I was trying to make when we were talking about that was before the Industrial Revolution and before we are where we are today with all of the technologies that afford us such a comfortable life, you didn't have the option to do anything other than work because you didn't feed your family if you didn't work. Whether it was a job or whether it was going out and hunting, you didn't have time for leisure. It wasn't a thing. There was first of all, even like think about before the invention of the light bulb, and you just existed by when the sun set and when the sun rose and things like that. Now we've created so much luxury and comfort in our lives that in the absence of finding your own struggle, and I think a lot of people would see that now as like entrepreneurs who choose not to work for someone else, but to take the risk of going out and working on their own with no guarantee of what's going to happen to them. That allows them the opportunity to kind of have that same idea of the uncertainty. But those who choose a corporate life and you've got a 9 to 5, it's comfortable, you make enough to pay your rent, or maybe you own a home with the person you're with, you don't have any interest in kids, there's going to be a void to fill there. And like you always point out, it's like it increasingly becomes consumerist related. How am I going to fill it? And then we get into those videos that are like, people are like, look at all the things I can do without having kids. Think of, it wasn't Sarah Silverman, it was who's the?
Oh, it was Chelsea Handler.
Chelsea Handler.
Yeah.
That's what.
And
it inevitably
what's his name?
becomes.
Seth Rogen as well.
Yes.
I don't know if it was a video, but he put out some statement.
The Seth Rogen, he's just annoying.
Yeah.
But at least his seemed like hers. Chelsea Handler's felt more mean spirited.
Well, hers was more about being single, and Seth Rogen is married, so he's like, here's all the fun that me and my wife can have
Smoking
without
weed.
kids. We smoke weed and watch movies naked. We got a $20 from Pop Culture Junkie. He said, dirty little secret on the Disney numbers. Those figures probably don't include a ton of wasted advertising and promotion costs, which run into the hundreds of millions.
Yes,
True.
They don't include the marketing budgets in most of those things, and those
So it's
are
probably
the
over $1
movies
billion
that-
in losses,
Yeah, it'll
if
be
we're
over
being
$1 billion,
honest.
And Bob Iger's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's like, I like the idea that he just like, he goes in with a pen and he just like erases a couple of numbers. He takes some white out. He's like, look, we only lost $100,000. This is a whole line that's got like it's the wet white out too that like smears on the page. It's fine.
But if any of you are interested in working for Disney, there is an opening at the moment for a Predator.
Yes.
Predator who can make a 6-figure salary. But to be clear, it is a producer / editor.
I thought it was going to be that guy from Quiet on Set. They were looking to hire the guy from Quiet on Set. Hire him to be a Predator. If you don't know what that is, guys, it's a producer / editor. And again, much like you were saying earlier, we were talking off air, you said, like, how do you make a movie that fails so bad without knowing that it's going to be that awful? Like, couldn't somebody have stopped it? Assuming that this is real, and I am going to take Chris Gore's word for it, I didn't go and double check, you'd think somebody would be like, maybe we don't post that.
I don't think it's real.
No. Think it's fake?
I think it's fake.
In the absence of a community note.
I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think they're so inept that they would put Predator. That they would just write producer editor. They wouldn't put Predator, man.
Maybe there was supposed to be like a dash in there, and they just.
Yeah, I'd love to find out though. If I were a betting man, I'd say I think it's not real.
But it's funnier if it's real.
It's funnier if it's real.
Yeah, let's just go with the most entertaining.
Don't get me wrong. I want it to be real. Yeah, exactly. I want it to be real.
We got another 20 from Tech. He said, happy Friday, Brett and Mary. What's up, ZUBY? Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Friday.
It is a good Friday. It's nice out today. All right, let's go ahead and move on then, shall we? Mary loves this.
Man-made horrors beyond your comprehension.
Look, you'll have to explain to people. Look, before the other day when this was announced, I didn't know that George Santos had a drag persona.
This is part of his backstory. The ousted
I wasn't
congressman,
up on his lore.
George Santos, revives his drag queen persona, Kitara Ravashi, for the Cameo app. And he has officially posted his first video.
Let's watch this here.
Hey, Club Condo. Your favorite, Kitara. After 18 years in the closet,
The feather boa.
George Santos pulled me back out. Whatever. Anyway, I hear you're a bunch of little freaks out there and you love to dance all night long like it's nobody's business. You know what?
Crisis party. We danced during Crisis Party.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
We got another 20 too from
Hold on.
Sanity Claus. He said, woohoo, my favorite female weightlifting record holder is on.
Hey.
Sorry, Brent, you are not my favorite female on this stream today, but only today. Mary, you are only second normally because Brent protects us from Mocha cringe.
That's right, I do. I bravely protect you from the derpy cat that I will never put on the show. There's a particular cat that I can't stand. So we do a segment here called Cute of the Day where viewers send in pictures of their cute pets because pets are cute. Everybody loves a cute cat or a dog.
Except for that one.
Except for that one. I don't like
Except
that.
Christy Gnome.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I am the Christy Gnome. That's what it is. Here we go.
Risque. You gotta make it more fun. Where's the zhush? I have an advice for you. How about put some wigs on, get some boas, and go have real fun. Let's see who whips your hair faster, side to side, whatever. But y'all gotta stop being boring. Dave essentially thinks you're boring because he wants you all to be more risque.
What would you call this?
The feather boa.
I like the idea that was paid for with campaign funds.
Yes. The campaign credit card, buying him designer items.
This guy was in your Congress?
He was.
Yes.
He was. He was expelled, last year?
You know what? I wish he still were in Congress.
Expelled for what?
Corruption. Was it?
He was using campaign funds for reportedly luxury items.
Feather boas.
They're making a movie about him too.
Really? He's because he was a Republican, so they're going to make a hit piece movie about him.
This guy's a Republican?
This guy's a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, man.
The absolute state of the Republican Party, am I right?
Jeez, man.
But I prefer George Santos to be in office because, at least we're being honest that this whole thing is a joke. Right?
If your government is a joke, it might as well look like
the
a
USA,
joke.
Oh man, I was saying this before we went live, but this country really confuses me as an outsider. As an outsider who spends a lot of time here and has my biggest audience here, it's such an odd and confusing place on so many levels. One of the things that just baffles me with the politics is I'm constantly thinking. I was having this conversation with my parents last week, just about the upcoming election and how it's looking like it's going to be Trump versus Biden again, and they were sharing their thoughts on that. And I just think in a country of 340 million plus people, I'm just baffled as to the leaders, whether it's Congress, it's presidents, it's mayors, whatever. I'm just baffled with the people you end up with all the time, because I have a lot of American friends and acquaintances. Mm-hmm. Every single one of my American friends would be a better president than what you've got.
Yeah.
I'm like, just go through the phone book, just pick that guy. Just someone, just any remotely competent person. Go to, I don't know, an accounting company or any corporate job, or just what doesn't even have to be corporate. Just that guy. Let's have him.
Politics dirties you up. The thing is, you put people in front of that much opportunity, that much money, and that much temptation. Not to say that would happen to everyone, but also a good number of it requires you to coalition build with people who are going to be far less savory.
Yeah, I know. I get it. And it's not. I'm not saying it's amazing in the UK, but our leader can get full sentences out.
Yeah.
And we're not run by octogenarians.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it odd, especially even with the I was pointing out the age thing on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, a few months ago, and the amount of people who were accusing me of ageism, and my audience is more conservative leaning, and I was like, you guys are really throwing the ageism card out here, because I'm saying, I remember the tweet was literally, the USA should try having a president who's under 70 or something like that. I think that's pretty reasonable. What's the retirement age here?
65.
65.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't be a surgeon or an airline pilot or something like that, and then you're going to get someone who's more than 15 years older than that.
I guess the question is there's a middle age that they should look for, right? Because I look at a lot of the younger generation too, and it's not I look at an AOC and I don't know if those are the ideas that.
But it's just because she's an idiot. But it's just because she's an idiot, right? She specifically, is an idiot. She's good at social media, but she's a dum dum. And I'm not saying I'm not even saying get someone who's pull out a 25-year-old or even a 35-year-old.
You have to be 35 to be president.
I know, but 80. Look.
Do you think the minimum age should be lowered?
I don't think, it should just be adulthood. But here, let me tell you something. This is crazy. Okay, so who was president in 1994?
Clinton.
Bill Clinton is younger than the current president right now. So the president, the president 30 years ago, the guy who was president 30 years ago is younger right now than the current president. just that in itself.
That puts it into perspective.
You see what I mean? I'm just
Yeah.
like,
wait, so I mean, like, technically, if we just made the cutoff adulthood, the minimum cutoff, we could have an 18-year-old president.
If people would vote for him
they could
her.
Campaign as a 17-year-old.
I think so. Why not?
I don't know.
Do you know what I think? I think across the board, I just think there should just be an agreed age of adulthood. Like, I think your 21-year-old drink. Nationally, you can't legislate globally, right? Like the idea that you can't drink in this country until 21 is stupid.
A lot of people believe
21 is stupid.
I mean,
that's a dumb. Really?
Technically, that's not a. If I remember,
I'd love to have that
correct me. I don't believe that that's even the federal drinking age. The idea is that it's mandated state to state, and the federal government will withhold funds from projects, from like highway projects in other states if they don't comply with that minimum or with that.
Yeah, I think real quick, we got a 20 from Christmas Loving Engineer. He said Mocha for president 2024. Yeah, we can just open it up to any species. Why not?
I'm being told from Shane H. Wilder, I'll just read this one. He says, Brett, it is 66 and a half for retirement now. They're going up half a year every year until it reaches 70. You're just going to work. And remember, Matt Walsh says you should just work until you die. Or was that Ben Shapiro?
I think it was Ben Shapiro.
One of those dudes said you should just work
Ben.
until you die.
It was Ben.
just get up and go to work and break your back until you die. Don't spend any time with your grandkids.
Yeah, that was...
Well, he said as long as it's a desk job. If it's a physical labor job, then that's fine. But yeah, you can do knowledge work.
I'm here to not give the context. I'm here to just make fun of him.
But as for the drinking thing, I just look at the way it works in the UK. It's 18, right?
UK is 18 to buy alcohol by yourself. You can drink with parental supervision, I think, from 14 in a pub.
Yeah,
I think they say that, like, a lot of it is
most of Europe. It's between 14 and 18.
America
it's just,
being more spread out, you drive more, so it's more risky.
There's that, and then you look at like club culture
You're not meant to be, but drinking and driving is illegal.
I just see like club culture in Europe, in these European countries with lower drinking ages. You basically open it up to a bunch of teenagers who kind of ruin it for adults. Honestly, it just seems like it's way easier for underage people to get into these clubs. And
18's not underage. Oh yeah, I mean, I was going to clubs like 14, 15.
Yeah, like that doesn't seem like, that's why we have house parties.
But those are
culture
worse
in US.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it doesn't seem to be playing out better over here.
If there's a barrier to entry for them, it does deter.
I think the fact you can go to war at what, 18?
18.
You can go to war
17,
at 18.
Technically, I think.
You can have sex, become a parent, get married or whatever from what, like 17, 18.
Well, but
drinking a beer, that's beyond the pale. That, to me, it doesn't make sense. I just I'm remembering what we were saying, what we were even talking about running for president. I just think there should just be like an age of agreed adulthood.
Yeah.
And everything that comes with being an adult, you could make it 20. You could make it 18. It could be 21. I don't know, but I just think it should just be like age of adulthood, and that's it. Not 17 for this one, 18 for this one, 21 for that one, 25 for this one. It's just like, are you an adult or not? That's what I think.
I don't dislike the idea of like a maximum age requirement for like 65.
You know what? I don't think there should be one. Yeah. I don't think there should be one either. Like I'm not here advocating that there should be a top age cutoff. I just think, like, you know, you've got a democratic process.
Yeah.
I just think voters should be. I mean, look, if you want to vote for an 80-year-old, vote for an 80-year-old. I'm just confused as to why. In the same way, like if a 20-year-old ran, I think it would be stupid to vote for a 20-year-old.
I guess also then the question is, like, if the cutoff is 65, like as long as they're under 65 before the day of the inauguration, so they can be older than 65 while being president, you have to turn 65 before.
No, there should be no age cap. There should be no age cap. And look, and people age very differently. I mean, even Joe Biden and Trump, there's only 3 years between them?
Yes.
But it feels like 15?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it could just be Trump hiding his cognitive decline better than Biden.
Then I like it.
If
good.
So, he hides it way better.
And he just got a facelift. He looks snatched.
He's looking slim.
Did he get a facelift?
He's looking good.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's move on. Speaking of, so we were talking about the weightlifting thing earlier. This is kind of not in the same
we found,
realm.
you could probably compete against women in beauty pageants.
You could do that,
right? Yeah. So recently, a 60-year-old woman won Miss Universe Buenos Aires. Proving age is just a number, they said.
I love whenever you see the articles written about these things because they're just weird, long virtue signals.
It's an accomplishment for some reason.
Let's watch this.
Okay.
It's like,
She looks really, really good for 60. Like,
my favorite part of any beauty pageant is all the other women behind them having to pretend like they're happy for them.
yay.
They're so happy.
I'm glad that she's a she.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is at least a real biological woman.
We set the
so
bar
there's
high.
a win.
We set the bar high here these days.
There's
guys.
a win.
Yeah, she looks good.
Speaking of,
but is the I have to ask because I'm looking at the women in the back. Are quite a few of them look older? Was this a woman? Was this a pageant for older women?
No,
I
it
don't
didn't say
think
that.
so.
No, it
Because
didn't say that.
the women in the back are not young.
There was another one recent. Was this the same lady who won the pageant that we talked about not that long ago?
No, there was another woman who was in her late 40s, I believe, who won
Yes.
a different pageant.
And all the articles written about it had nothing to do with like what the pageant was. It was just about her age and how
Milestones.
now age is just a number. And I'm like, is that really what it's supposed to be about? I remember when it was about having the fake answers to the fake questions about how can we change the world, and then they would have to come up with their weird answer that would just be like a standard day on social media virtue signal.
World peace.
Yes, we're gonna find world peace at beauty pageants.
I mean, they did pick the most beautiful contestant, so
It's good for them.
good for them.
And again, like we said, we set the bar high here now. At least it's a biological woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Got that
woman.
good going.
Do you know what? I don't think you should add the word biological
I agree.
because when you say that, you're actually giving ground to the trans people.
Right, like I was just saying yesterday, I don't agree
You're
with the
just a woman.
categorization of cis either.
No, don't use it. Don't use that language. Like, biological implies that there's such a thing as a woman that's not biological. So yeah,
Fair enough.
Just a point.
You wanted to show this one. Apparently, Milo's getting off the
The
YEEZY
Kanye train.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's still the YEEZY chief of staff,
Yeah.
it seems, from this letter. But he wrote this letter to YEEZY saying he will not be complicit in any pornography. So this is after the announcement of Kanye's porn production company. He said, I cannot be complicit in the production or dissemination of pornographic films or literature for moral and religious reasons, but also because such material and the kind of people invariably involved in its production represent an imminent danger to my life as a recovering addict and an unacceptable risk to my spiritual and physical health as a former homosexual.
There's a
Quite
lot
the
going on
statement.
here.
Did you pay attention when YEEZY started the porn company? What were your thoughts on that?
I hope he doesn't actually do it.
Doesn't fall.
Oh,
through?
he won't. Right.
I
It's
don't-
just a stunt.
Either way, it's look. I don't really care. I don't care about celebrities, but I do care about faith.
Yeah.
And so for him to come out in his Jesus is King era and Sunday service era and to very, very, very publicly proclaim Christianity and his faith and all that, and then to even dabble with the kind of darkness he's been doing so again, it's sad. It's disappointing. Like I'm not the one who's I'm disappointed by that celebrity. Like I don't do that.
That would imply you believed in that celebrity.
I don't put them on that pedestal, but
No one should.
it's after making such a public conversion to Christianity and doing so much, putting out an album. It's gross.
It's disappointing.
It's gross. Like even if he did this, even say he never did the whole public announcement of Christianity, Jesus is King album, all that, and he was just like the Kanye we knew before that, college dropout, late registration, graduation, all that, and then he moved into this, it would still be like, ugh, that's weird and cringe, but to do it after that is just, look, God can save anybody, but I've been a Kanye fan for over 20 years, and I don't want to write him off, but I can't rock with this or him at all.
Well, you would say
At
you're
all.
a fan of the music, not him as a person?
Do you know what? I've always liked his personality as well.
Okay.
And I've defended him a lot of times when people were like trying to destroy his reputation. And now, remember 2018 when he was wearing the Trump hat,
Right.
right, and doing all that and talking about being able to, say what he wants, do what he wants. Even way back when, I remember when he did the whole George Bush doesn't care about black people thing after Hurricane Katrina, or when he was just saying and doing all these sort of things that, particularly in the world of hip hop, it was considered strange and different. Like, I remember way back, this is seriously going back to early to mid 2000s. I mean, I remember when he put out a statement about how, rappers should stop being like so homophobic and stop like, calling people the F word and using it all that. And in the hip hop world, people were like, shut up, this guy's a dork, whatever, and his pink pill or whatever. And I was like, you know what, like he's got a point here. And it's interesting because actually over the past 20 years, they have chilled out on that a little bit. So yeah, like, I don't know, like I've always loved the fact that he says what he means and he means what he says. And he's just, in this world of fakeness.
Yeah.
Except now it seems he doesn't mean what he says.
Yeah, I don't know. But, in this world of fakeness and celebrity culture where people are towing the line and everyone is woke and people are afraid to do, for him to come out and speak out like proclaim Jesus is King, have a #1 album called Jesus is King, be one of the loudest pro-life, anti-abortion voices in the country. Mm-hmm. And that's not a popular position to take in the world of entertainment. Coming out very boldly as pro-life, making these proclamations, and then all of this, and then this, and you're just like, bro.
Well, I think he has a tendency to go against the grain, and then when he does that, more people think like, I can believe in this guy, I can support this guy, and then he starts to resent the very people who supported him for speaking out. So he gains this Christian audience. Mm-hmm. And then he starts to resent that they have different expectations of him. So then he wants to go against those expectations. And no matter what, he's in a state of resistance.
Yeah, this is more than resistance, though. This is like defiance against God.
Definnie.
Right.
Yeah, and that's more important than whoever supports you in your career.
Yeah, I don't know. I think as a person of faith, as I know you are as well, like, I think he's messing with something very serious here.
Yeah.
Right. To me, this isn't just like, whatever. Like, he's just, LOL, do whatever you want. It's like, this is like very, very open defiance and mocking of God, as far as I'm concerned.
Does it feel like, in a way, it felt like he didn't take it as seriously as a lot of the people in the community felt like he should have?
Do you know what? I don't know. I don't know Kanye personally. I know a few people who are connected to him. Mm-hmm. And it does seem, I know he spent hundreds of hours with pastors and doing Bible study and he went deep on the Christian faith. It wasn't just like a quick marketing gimmick or something like that.
Right, like Shane and Bryson Gray, they were recently posting about it, and they said when we knew him in the middle of his conversion experience, it was real. Yeah. But it could have just been maybe an expression of mania, hyperfixation on something that was partly authentic.
It doesn't mean he didn't mean it. It just means that he gives himself entirely to something that he finds, something new that he finds, and then he's now found himself away from it. In a way, it feels like many of faith, that is the journey. It's not the end point, but it's the end point for then another journey to God. Whereas to him, it felt like just another journey that's not an end point at all, and he's on to the next thing.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, it's not like the bar here is perfection. It's not like the expectation is like, okay, we're expecting people to be perfect. None of us are at all. But
what did you think of the Russell Brand posts? He was saying he got baptized recently.
Yeah, he got baptized. I think it's positive. I think it's positive. And even with the Kanye situation, I still think it's positive that there will definitely be people who he did bring to Christ.
We got a $20 from Francisco Sanchez Jr. He said, Mary, did you see the article mentioning that sex scenes in movies are down 40% since 2000? Hollywood is going Puritan? I know, not likely, but who knows? Yes, we are going to be talking about that later in the show. Yep. I did see that.
Yep.
We'll get into it. I highly doubt they're going Puritan, but that would be my dream.
She would love that.
If only.
That would be rebellious.
If only.
All right. What's going on with Bumble?
Yeah. So this dating app called Bumble is going through a rebrand right now, where they have completely changed the concept of the app. originally a woman founded this app, and it was supposed to be revolutionary because it forced women to make the first move. They had to send the first message to a guy.
It's the most 21st century American thing I've ever heard of.
Yes, and it was actually massively successful for her, and she's made a huge amount of wealth off of it, but they have just gone back on that promise and rebranded so that women no longer have to send the first message.
There's a movie being made about her too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, that's likely. And people are arguing about this right now because this promo video they put out for the rebrand of the app is incredibly strange and disturbing. Basically, it shows a millennial woman travel to a Bumble convent where all of these nuns are wearing yellow habits and they keep her away from the men, and they have shirtless men doing their landscaping, and then they send her out into the world. A new woman.
We have to mute the music?
There is a song in it, so we, for copyright purposes, we'll keep it silent.
Music, but the visuals are enough.
Yeah.
You just, we live in a golden age for like nutty professor, like commercial designers to just come up with insane stuff.
I have no idea how this got off the ground as a concept, but...
We're still texting then, but I'm certainly not your
Says I'm swearing off dating and I've made a decision.
So here she is pulling up to the Bumble convent with her tinted sunglasses.
Okay, I'm sorry, but those sunglasses right there, if you ever watched any 90s movie with a hacker, they wore sunglasses just like that. I'm in the mainframe.
She's in the mainframe.
She's in the mainframe.
She's hacking Bumble. She's greeted by a group of yellow-clad nuns here. It's just so weird. She gets in the habit.
They're eating.
Yep. They're dancing.
What does this have to do with dating?
I don't know.
What the hell does this have to do with dating?
And then here they have this shirtless landscaper, and she's lusting after him.
Can't do that. You're in a convent.
Yes, the Mother Superior is suspicious of her. They give her the Bumble app.
What the hell?
She's like swiping on Bumble. We've changed so you don't have to.
Our business model failed, so you can.
Our business
just
model
like
failed.
every other dating app.
Because it was the girl boss dating app, right?
Yes.
It gave women what they said they wanted, and as so often happens, what women say they want is not exactly what they really want. So it didn't work out for them.
Do you want to kind of explain that to people? Like, so the idea was that women are sick of, the random men sliding into their DMs, sending them lascivious messages.
Send nudes.
The problem is it's all about filtering information, right? So they have to go and try to find the genuine messages that are spread out sparsely amongst a bunch of less than.
So it's like, we're going to put the control back in your hands, ladies. You message the guys that you want to date. But that's not what women want. They do want men to make the first move. After all, Billy Ray Brandt posted about this rebrand. She said they've gone from the app made by a woman wanting to empower and protect women by giving them more control to an app that is just like every other app. They're essentially admitting that women don't want any responsibility when it comes to early dating. They just want to be chased by men who take ownership and take the lead, even at the expense of potentially unwanted attention. In other words, the way it's always been.
It's the way the women love that part of it. They get to complain about the unwanted attention and get the positive attention that they actually desire.
Mm-hmm.
It's all validation regardless.
What are your thoughts on dating apps?
Trash.
Trash?
Yeah.
Trash. I wonder, have there been studies done on like the success rate? I mean, like all of these dating apps will tout the success rate of their platforms, right?
Well, don't listen to what the companies are telling you,
Exactly.
because obviously Tinder
Success
or
is bottom
Bumble,
line.
they benefit from you staying single so that you continue using their company's offerings. But I've seen like increasing rates of married people report they met on a dating app, and that's inevitable because although marriage rates are declining, the way people meet, it's online. Like, it's going to be the majority.
There was no way that your phone was going to enter your pocket and give you access to the internet 24/7 and have other aspects of our social lives not change with it. That was always going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Right?
interestingly, the CEO, or the original CEO, the founder, Whitney Wolf Herd, I looked into how she met her husband because I was like so curious if they met on a dating app, and it turns out she met her husband Michael on a skiing trip in Aspen in 2013, the year before she founded Bumble. And she was one of the co-founders of Tinder. She left Tinder to start her girl boss dating app and became almost just as successful. But were the women she sold it to as successful as her at finding a spouse? Probably not.
It's like the CEO of McDonald's saying, "I'd never let my kids eat McDonald's."
All the social media tech guys. Yeah.
They're like, "Are you kidding me? That thing's a weapon of mass destruction. My kid's not getting a cell phone."
But now that the dating apps are here, like, you know, what else are people supposed to do?
The thing that's interesting with all these new technologies, from our smartphones to social media to dating apps, any technology, is they simultaneously alter human behavior, but more so they reveal it. So I have a belief that we're essentially, when it comes to dating, mating, and relationships, we're actually moving back towards more how it was thousands of years ago.
How so?
So there's more open hypergamy now. The West is essentially moving increasingly into a state of soft polygyny.
Meaning that
that if you are, well, firstly, if you're a man or a woman on these apps, your experience is going to be completely different, right? By 101 to 1,000 to 1 in some situations.
A man's complaints will never be the same as a woman's complaints.
And so essentially, when it comes to these apps, look, let's put it simply. Most men find most young-ish women attractive. Most women find most men unattractive. So when you create an app like this, particularly, it doesn't matter if it's Tinder, any of these things where what's the first thing you see, right? It's just physical, it's just photos. You don't know things about people's personality, their background, whatever it might be. You essentially create a situation where, like, the top 10, maybe 20, let's say top 10% of men, in terms of the qualities women are looking for, especially superficially, they just completely clean up, right? If you're a top dude, you can be on one of these apps and you can be just lining up women. You can have like a whole harem of women. And a lot of women are dating and sleeping with the same guys. So you've got a pool of men where, like, they're getting zero matches, right? There's nothing.
On the shirt.
Oh boy.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, they're getting zero matches. They're getting nothing, right? And then you've got, like, increasingly a very small percentage of dudes who are just dating a whole ton of women, which also makes them far less committal. Women are like, oh, why don't these guys want to commit? It's like, well, he's got like 10 other women chasing after him. So why would he, unless he's deeply religious or something, in which case he probably wouldn't be messing with this stuff to begin with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that we're, whether or not people realize it, monogamy is actually declining in the West. Not just marriage rates, monogamy itself is actually declining. And while open polygamy is not, in terms of marriage, is not legal here, but that's essentially how people, men and women, are organizing themselves.
They're not structuring themselves in relationships to begin with.
Yeah, because if you just have, when I say soft polygamy or like a soft harem, what I mean is it's not like official. Right? It's not, officially, hey, this man has like 5 wives. Yeah. It's just like, oh yeah, this guy's a stud, and yeah, he's dating like 8 women at once. Look at the, I don't even want to bring it up. Look at the Huberman thing.
Yeah.
Right? And like, does that surprise anyone? It's like, oh wow, look, a guy in his like mid 40s who's wealthy, famous, jacked, in great shape, has a huge audience, including a huge female audience. Oh my gosh, he's dating 5 women at once. It's like, yeah, obviously.
The ironic part of that story is the women knew.
Of course.
The women knew, and they caught him, quote unquote, cheating multiple times, but overlooked it.
I didn't read the article.
And I was like, you're the clown for that.
Think about the podcaster, the female podcaster who got married and spend all her time saying women should have a roster.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you see the chick who hosts Call Her Daddy podcast?
Alex Cooper.
Yeah, Alex Cooper.
I saw she got married.
Recently got married, and I posted about it saying, like, okay, she won in the end, but all these women that she influenced with her podcast, especially in its early years before she like cleaned up her act, they were sent the wrong message, and they're not going to be so fortunate in the end.
Do you know what? I don't want to be a pessimist here. I was just thinking about this the other week. It's interesting because you say that she won.
In the eyes of the world, she won.
Well,
Surprise party!
I have a.
Thank you.
All right. Now, you're saying she didn't win?
What I'm saying is, look, I think increasingly our society is too focused on weddings instead of marriages.
Sure, she posts the
Like
glitzy photos.
is getting married really an achievement? Like having a wedding's not really an achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a downer.
Let's see if it lasts.
I like going to weddings and whatever, right? Like this is but it's the beginning. It's like, okay, this is day one.
Yeah.
Like that's day zero of the marriage, right? It's like, okay, cool. If in 5, 10, let me not even say 5. Let me say 10, 20, 25, 30 years, then we'll see. Okay, cool. Was this a win? I don't know. I just think so many people think like, oh, this is the end point. Getting the ring is the end point. It's like, that's a beginning.
It's literally just
We got a
That's literally the
$20
start.
from Gordon Shumway. He said, I remember a woman I knew once complained about how she went to a bar and sat all night and not a single man approached her or bought her a drink. I told her, guys really don't do that anymore and you're in your late 40s. Well, that's some key information.
It's late 40s. It's not that guys don't do it. It's the late 40s part.
But yeah, you're right. Like, see if that marriage can stand the test of time. And also increasingly, women like Alex Cooper see a marriage as a starter marriage.
that's what I mean.
And that's it. There's no concept of it being a sacrament or the purpose of it being to produce a family. So for her, this could just be the first step in many different men that she marries.
Yeah,
down
that's
the
what I mean.
line.
That's why people are like, yeah, massive, this W. I'm like, guys, like there's no, like, this is not a hard achievement.
But regardless, even
But-
if her marriage does last
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like it's likely to, yes, that's a win in the eyes of this degenerate world we live in.
Yeah, that's
but
what I mean.
I was trying to point out to people, she has put other women in such a
The
bad
influence.
position, convincing them that this lifestyle of promiscuity and hedonism that she lived for a time in her 20s is what will lead you to that outcome.
Yeah.
Because all she did was prove that as an attractive, rich, famous woman, you have a great pick of potential husbands and potential starter husbands. She didn't really prove that there are no consequences to that lifestyle.
No, you can't. I don't know. I think one of my big predictors of this century, unless something like massively changes, is I do see the situation going back to how it was quite literally thousands of years ago, where you've got, okay, this guy's like a king. This guy's a boss mode. He's got how many wives and concubines did King Solomon have? What was it? 700 wives and like 1,000. I can't remember the numbers.
Time of day.
King David, like all the, in the Old Testament, all the big guys, like, they all had dozens and dozens and dozens of women. And the Western world is actually slowly moving back in that direction, back to like a winner takes all type of thing in the dating market. And this is only going to increase even more. Porn is playing a factor in this, of course.
Yep.
But when you're getting like AI and you're going to have robotics and all of these things coming down the pipeline, and you're going to get an increasing percentage of men who struggle to compete in that regard, just completely writing off women, writing off relationships. Women won't do the same with men in the same way, but you're just going to end up with, it's going to be very, very stacked. It already is. People just don't really talk about it very often.
The thing that I felt ruined it, like most of all in the dating apps, is like you mentioned the superficial qualities that end up filtering out a lot of the men for women. The dudes who lost out the most there are the dudes who are just average looking, but really good personalities that were really, really good at charming someone in person that doesn't translate online. Like nobody loses out harder than that dude who in his 20s maybe didn't look as good as all the other dudes, but he had the Gen Z would call it Riz.
Yes, the
but
Riz.
we would call it that charisma that's impossible to fake. They lose out more than
Right.
anything.
Yeah, for sure. Or they're just shorter. You've literally, there'll be women there who like...
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. It's I don't think the future looks bright in that regard. I think marriage rates are going to keep on dropping, and commitment rates are going to keep on dropping, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
see.
I say all this. I say all this as someone who's generally very optimistic, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm very realistic as well, and I'm just seeing how this is playing out.
Somebody in the chat says, "Poor Short King." Short King. I was watching this funny video the other day. We were talking about like, it's an insult. It actually is supposed to be kind of a degrading statement. Maybe I'll send this to you later. It's said in a tone that's basically like, "You're great." For somebody of your height.
No, that's not what it's supposed to mean.
It's really, really interesting. So on that cheery note, though, let's cringe or cute of the day.
ZUBY, you decide. Would you like to see our cringe or the PCC pets first?
Cringe.
Cringe first?
Let's start with cringe.
Yeah.
We've got Halle Berry today for cringe of the day. As she loudly proclaims on the steps of the U.S. Capitol that she does, in fact, have menopause.
Yep. It's like a cold.
Here we go. Let's listen to this.
Is that Halle Berry?
That's Halle Berry. Still looks great for her age.
I was at the doctor
great, period.
3 days ago, and I went in to talk to him about an issue, and I said to him, "You know why I'm having this issue, right?" And he says, "Yes, I know." I said, "Tell me, why am I having this issue?" He said, "You tell me why you're having the issue." I said, "No, you tell me why I'm having the issue." And we went back and forth. You tell me, you tell me, you tell me. I finally realized he wasn't going to say it. So I thought, okay, I have to do what no man can do. I have to say it. I said, "I'm in menopause!" Okay? And that's why I'm having this issue. And he said, "Oh my God, I could never say that to you. Look at you. You don't look like you're in menopause. I could never say that. And if I said that to all of my female clients, they'd punch me."
Think that's true? Would they punch her?
I
Would they
hope
punch
not,
him?
but isn't it his job as a doctor to
say it?
Say words like that?
Yeah. Well, you know what
I
it
can't
is.
tell you have cancer. That would be horrible. You would punch me.
20 years of dealing with women. He just can't take it anymore. He's like,
he's
look, I'm not
done.
going to say it. You have to say it. But, you know.
Did she have to scream it like that?
Did she have to go to the steps of the Capitol and talk about menopause?
Why is she there?
I
have
What's the
no
context?
clue.
I'm wondering what the context is here.
Because, did you know that at any given time, anywhere in the world, there's a women's summit going on somewhere?
There's always something
There's
like that.
always some type of women in this event going on
of course.
somewhere. So my guess
Women
is...
in tech, women in menopause. I don't know.
You think, and that
It could be
happens.
anything.
It's not even a political thing. There's Turning Point USA events that are just there's gonna
for
be,
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Women in something event
I
somewhere.
would love to see a young men's leadership summit. From
She was
Turning Point.
surrounded by multiple U.S. senators who just unveiled a bill seeking substantially more funding and resources to be thrown at menopause.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea.
What
they want your
resources
tax.
do they
want
need?
your tax dollars to go investigate menopause.
We can cure it.
Investigate
We can
menopause?
find the cure for menopause.
It says
This
It
is
says
great.
advancing menopausal care and midlife women's health.
All right.
That's of course. Got to complain about this. There's always something. There's got to be some cause.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What is the guy's version of this?
Are you
Like,
gonna like
andro-
go on the steps of the
andropause.
Capitol and talk about Viagra?
Yeah, I was
or
gonna say
something?
like increase access to Viagra. That's the guy's version of this.
Insane.
It's called andropause in men, right?
And
I suppose.
and it
yeah.
happens
andropause.
less frequently, more
Well,
frequently. I have no idea. Later.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's not
slower
as- it's more-
process, probably.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a little
We
bit of
have cute.
timeline
We have
cleanse
cute.
here.
Okay.
I moved this one to the front of the queue because the picture is so cute. It says Nashville Vinny coming in hot.
That's
It's from Lindsay. Thank you, Lindsay.
It looks like Winnie the Pooh as a cat.
I love it.
it.
Let's do one more. This is from Curtis Schultz. Says my niece and her husband's Great Dane puppy Olive.
See, this is proving, Brett, that pets should be put in clothes.
No, just no. I'm against pets and clothes. Stop humiliating them. But Olive.
Look at the shirt.
But
though.
Olive for a dog is a great name.
Yeah, I like it.
It's very cute. It's a very cute puppy. I do, however, say they have fur for a reason. Don't put your pet in clothes. You're humiliating them. It's rude.
But the cat was so cute, though.
All right, guys, it's time to move on. Let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? We're going to talk about what's going on over at DC because actor Winston Duke, if you don't know who he is, he played M'Baku in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in the Black Panther films. He is coming out and he is campaigning hard now because he wants to play Batman
Yes.
on the big screen.
He was recently doing press for The Fall Guy, and he ended up mentioning there is nothing he would love more than to play Batman in a live-action film. He's asking people to campaign for this. He said, Listen, can you start a campaign? I would say I challenge you to get on the socials and push for me. Get your community. I would love to do that as Batman. I'd love any opportunity to explore new characters, change narratives around some of the most entrenched ideas of how these characters are supposed to look, sound, and perform.
Oh, I'm
all
this
for
already.
it. So you're making it about the fact that you're black, right? So
Yes.
This is why race swaps, in and of themselves, it might sound innocuous, but I think there's always this political animus behind them.
And you understand, like, I get crap all the time to say, like, most of the time, if it's not addressed in the film, I don't care about race swaps as long as they don't make substantial changes to the backstory of the character. But he brought it up right in his marketing push.
That's what
for
it's
it, that
about.
He wants to change the character fundamentally, which is a problem. Is this the type of thing, like, maybe it's a gap overseas, but do characters like Batman matter over in, like, the UK?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, UK is the second biggest English-speaking
Yes.
market after
So
the US in the West anyway.
I imagine, you know what you don't hear? Maybe this will happen. Maybe we'll start hearing about race-swapped Sherlock Holmes.
Well, they already...
Because they talk about it with James Bond all
Yeah, I
the
was going to
time.
say with James Bond. I mean, that's a British
but
thing,
they,
right?
And even that one, I say, like, that's one of those ones
Doctor
where...
Who.
Doctor Who, right now, where they're going through that right now
exactly.
with actor
He's
Ncuti
gay
Gatwa.
too, so you got a twofer right,
Yeah.
right there.
But
yeah.
like whenever somebody says Idris Elba, I'm like, no, make Idris Elba a villain.
Yeah.
He's got the voice. He's got the perfect voice for a villain. He did the character Luther, which is a fantastic
that wouldn't
show.
satisfy their socio-political ambitions, Brett. Okay, we got a $20 real quick from Greg Duvier. He said, "This is a great Friday. ZUBY, you are one of the two great rappers left."
Who's the other one?
I don't know.
Oh, wow,
Any
thank you.
plans for releasing new music? Also, are you going to be on Timcast IRL tonight?
I'm not going to be on Timcast IRL, but I will make more music. I'm working on my third book right now, so I'm actually 10 pages away from finishing the second draft of my next book. And once I'm done with my new book and I've got the release and marketing and all that stuff planned out, then my next creative project will be some more new music. So last album was 2021, but that's not my final album. I'm not done. I will be making more music.
I want to address one of the comments here because it's a fair argument to make. Multiverse implies there's a black Batman somewhere. It also implies that the entire universe with unique characters imagined by black artists and stuff. Here's the problem. These films cost exorbitant amounts of money to make. They do. And I made the same argument the other day when we were talking about other films that are getting made. People don't get invested unless it's one of the traditional versions of these characters that they know and understand. Yeah. We're going to be talking in the same segment about what's going on with Sam Wilson coming in to play Captain America. Look, there's precedent in the comics for that, but when you boil it all down, Steve Rogers is who people think of when they think of Captain America. And if you actually care about making a profit on your films, they're doing the same thing when they said they were doing Shalla as the Silver Surfer in the new Fantastic Four movie. That's not who people know as the Silver Surfer. It matters. It matters if you actually want to draw people who aren't comic book, super comic book literate to the films. All they know is that Michael Keaton played Batman back in 1989 and Christopher Nolan did it in 2005 through 2012 or 13. That is the traditional version of the character. It always will be. So from a purely practical level from the studio, making the most visible version of the character that as many people can connect to is what you need to do. If you find great success from that, you can branch out from there. But I feel like that time in superhero lore is come and gone at the film level because 2019 happened, and after Avengers Endgame, they're not seeing the same return on investment that they were back then. Look,
it depends how many L's these people want to take. I mean, look, this is not going to happen.
No, I don't think so.
I think this is just the actor just like throwing his hat in the ring and saying,
I mean, after
cool.
Black Little Mermaid, anything is possible.
I think, look, they guard Batman more heavily than they do. There's a reason why you see less of him on the small screen. He's considered their big screen character. Mm-hmm. Certainly DC Comics wouldn't exist right now if they didn't have Batman literally pulling everybody behind.
I'll tell you another reason why. How did The Little Mermaid do, by the way? Did it do okay financially?
$500-something million after marketing. It didn't profit.
Yeah. It didn't profit.
It
it kind of broke even.
If it did, it didn't profit by much.
Small loss or broke even. So even with that, I'll tell you actually a very simple reason why it's not the same. Even, and I thought the whole race swapping Little Mermaid thing is silly. This would fare more poorly because this is a male audience.
Yeah, definitely.
Because women are obsessed with political correctness.
Yep.
So if you do Black Little Mermaid, even the women who don't really like, it's a huge point. Even the women who don't really like the idea or whatever, they'll still, you know, the way, oh, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. Like, I think it's great, whatever. Like women, they like to be
politically. They want to feel good.
They at least want to be seen as being politically correct. They're also more liberal. They're more progressive, whatever. Guys, like women don't care about Batman. Yeah. Guys really do, right? Black guys, white guys, Asian guys, Hispanic guys, or whatever, they're all like, nah, Batman is Bruce Wayne, and this is what he looks like. Even like this won't even appeal to black men who like Batman. You see what I mean? Like this won't work. Just in the same way, if you made Black Panther, if you made freaking T'Challa, and you cast, you know, people always say Ryan Gosling. Right?
Yeah.
People, I don't know why they say always Ryan Gosling.
He's on a. They also cast him as Obama.
Yeah, but if you did that, it wouldn't just like annoy the black male audience and even the black female audience. It would even annoy the white male audience who like Black Panther.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, no, T'Challa is from Wakanda, and Wakanda's in Africa. And he's a black character, so we don't want that.
Have you seen the meme they do where they show the Black Little Mermaid, and they show all of the women who say, that's me, it's all the black women says, oh, look, it's I see myself, it's me. Okay. And then they show a thing of Batman or Goku, and it's all men of different races saying, that's Goku, literally me.
It's Goku.
Well, you saw like all of those videos back when The Little Mermaid came out. People were recording their children, their little black girls, like crying, like, oh, she's crying because she can finally see herself in this Disney princess character.
It's very female.
Yeah, I think that's the social contagion that they were appealing to there, and it still really didn't get them to a profitable movie.
There is Blade, there is Spawn. There are infinite good characters that you could do this with. To race swap a character that famous is purely political. Yeah. Especially if it's the first live action version that you take of this, other than the Robert Pattinson one that doesn't exist in the same universe, right? That, like, if you do that now and you don't wait to do it later, you don't do it as a multiverse story where both of them interact, it's purely political. And like you said, men won't want to make the time.
Men won't tolerate it. Men won't support it. It would crater.
I like this actor. I do. Again, his character in Person of Interest was really, really good as like a kind of a very, very smart inner city kid who rises to the top. Like he essentially like unites a bunch of gangs and plays a pretty formidable opponent to people a lot stronger than him in the show. It's really, really good. But he doesn't have the physique for Batman.
He would have to cut.
Jonathan Majors would be a better option for Batman if he wasn't in so much trouble and no longer playing Kang in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if you were going to do that.
We got a 20 from That Stands A-tastic. He said, yesterday's episode was fantastic. The wig and sunglasses version of Brett needs to be every day or once a week at the least. Brett saying, yeah, it's called Broadcast, had me rolling. Make it a segment, please.
I'll tell you what. If I do it again and we get to how many crisis parties was it?
It was 30.
No. What? No. I'm saying if we get to yesterday during the show when we did that, how many crisis parties did we have during the intro?
During the intro.
Was it 3?
It was a lot.
Was it 3?
It was a good
5?
Yeah.
It was 5. If we get to 5, if I do it next week and we get to 5 crisis parties again, we'll think about like every time. If you continue to get to 5 crisis party, I'll do it another week.
Okay, that's fair. That's only fair. We love Johnny Bravo, Brett.
Yes. But it's not just this, it's the Sam Wilson stuff that's going on too.
They posted a first look at Captain America's new suit in Captain America Brave New World. We have Black Captain America as well.
Is this actually happening? Is he going to be Captain America?
Yes. So so there is precedent for this in the comics. Again, I don't think
you can dig and find precedent for all sorts of things.
Again, I do like this costume better than that one.
Okay.
I do. Like, I don't like this one. I think that it's a bit of intrusive.
Is that just a Photoshop?
That was from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
I like this one more. But here's the thing. You could have just had a Sam Wilson Falcon movie. What's the point of taking Anthony Mackie, putting him as Sam Wilson Falcon for 10 years, about 10 years now, because Captain America Winter Soldier came out in 2014. Mm-hmm. So he was Sam Wilson. He's that character for 10 years as Falcon. Now you're having him as Sam Wilson, Captain America. What's the point when you did all that time building him up in Avengers Endgame, both the Captain America movies after that and Avengers Infinity War and other such cameos, just do a Falcon movie. People know the character now.
So he's the same person, but he's becoming Captain America.
Correct.
Is that right?
He's taken on the mantle of Captain
Got it.
America
Got
after the death of
Got it.
But
Rogers.
the point is brownie points
Correct.
and putting the name of Captain America
Yeah.
in the movie title because IP is king. That's why.
Again, I do know that there is precedent for the comic book, but I think that just in the same way that they screwed over Black Widow by not giving her a movie until way too late, you're screwing him over by not just letting him be that character. What's what people always complain about, right?
Yeah.
Don't race swap the characters. Find a new character or use a character that's already, there's precedent there, and use it.
It's also worth a mention, by the way, that Jordan Peele is wasting his time right now making a documentary that is about dismantling the whitewashed mythology of the cowboy. So he's not making another movie that everyone can enjoy.
Okay.
It's a documentary that browbeats people.
I have a question. Did he say that, or is that just how the writer of the article decided to spin it?
That he's making this documentary?
No, that he's explicit. Like, okay, so if I look at the thing on headline on Twitter, right, the Deadline Hollywood,
Is the quote actually
it says the Get Out filmmaker is producing a documentary series that dismantles the whitewashed mythology of the cowboy. Is what I mean is, did he himself explicitly say his goal is to dismantle the whitewashed mythology, or is that how the media is portraying it? Because I think that's quite important.
This says, Nope gave a nod to the deep history of black cowboys in America, and this docuseries offers a full exploration of their lives and contributions to today's cultural landscape, told through the lens of Jordan Peele. It's every bit as entertaining as it is enriching. But yeah, it says it's inspired by themes from his movie Nope, and it's going to rewrite the foundational piece of American history that is the cowboy, unmasking the forces that erased the identity of the black cowboy from frontier history. So that I don't think there's any comment directly from Jordan Peele in the article.
Yeah.
Which again, the journalists are these filmmakers' worst enemy.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Journalists are the enemy of the people, man. So I'm wondering, he could have just been like, you know what, I want to do a documentary that explores black cowboys and their history. And then the media decides to like turn it into this woke, right? They decide to use all their weird language to make it out.
There was a Taylor Sheridan series based on the lawman Bass Reeves, the real person, that came out this year. Okay. That was very good. That's more in that same realm. We'll always have Deadwood though. You'll always have Deadwood if you want to watch a traditional Western for modern, for modern times, made in like 2000.
Blazing Saddles.
There you go. There you go.
I actually watched that for the first time a couple months ago.
What'd you think of it?
It was all right.
I've heard great things.
Yeah, it was all right. I actually thought it was going to be funnier, but it was all right. It was all right. There were some funny bits.
All right.
Let's read some super chats, shall we? Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Friday, Brett, Mary, and Zuby. I will be working on a broadcast video this weekend. I'll hopefully have it out on Monday. For it, I need to know Mary's favorite type of cookie to bake."
Do you have a favorite cookie?
I mean...
Do you bake cookies?
Yeah. You can't really go wrong with chocolate chip, though. Maybe that's too boring. Sorry. Corey Anderson said, "I drink on a flight just in case the plane crashes." Oh, so you want to die drunk? I don't know. I want to be completely sound of mind when I die. That's my hope.
That seems like a fair
But I know that you get drunk when you super chat, so that's just the norm for you. Shane H. Wilder said, "It was a male pastor. Every time he opened his mouth, I was like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works." Well, I guess I'll have to listen and see for myself. But sounds like those two things, being a Christian period or a pastor, especially being pro-choice.
Huge number of Christians in this country.
Yeah.
Supposed Christians hold that position.
Yeah.
Let's do two more.
All right. Evan Perry said, "Backup plan, the men can identify as bears."
There you go.
Hey.
We'll get there.
Perfect.
It's inspired.
And Corey Anderson said, "Choosing a bear over a man in the woods just reinforces the reasoning on why I don't want men in a girl's bathroom."
There you go. All right, let's hold off on the rest. It's time to talk about this this story with Victoria Justice.
Yeah, recently a debate has erupted online over whether movies really need to have sex scenes in them. I'm of the opinion that they most certainly don't, and I think they're never necessary for the plot. But it seems like these days, especially when you watch a show or a movie on a streaming service, it's almost unavoidable. And recently, Victoria Justice did an interview about this movie she's filming right now called, ironically, Depravity. And she did her first ever sex scene on day one of filming it. She said, I'm like, really, guys? We're going to schedule this for the first day? Cool, thanks for that. It's uncomfortable. I was actually very nervous about it and totally anxious about the entire situation. And I was like, did I make the wrong choice? I don't know if I should do this. There's a bunch of random dudes in the room breathing and watching you. The actor I was working with, we were friends as much as we could be. We barely knew each other because it was the first day of filming. He was a super nice guy and made me feel safe and was very polite and respectful. When she's saying, I was asking myself, should I do this? Am I making the wrong choice? That is what your conscience sounds like when you're about to do something that you know you shouldn't do. Which means you should leave.
It's very rude of all those random dudes to be in the room breathing.
I know
they shouldn't be breathing. They should be holding their breath.
By the way, those are people most of the time that have actual jobs to do, at least somewhere on set. So they weren't random dudes. The studio wasn't like, hey, you.
Just bringing in a studio audience for fun.
Do you want to come over? What I find interesting is that the first day of shooting is never easy, right? So I like it when they get caught up doing like if you're working in network television and you're a guest star, you're only doing 7-8 days with these actors who are regulars. You get called in to do an emotional scene and it'll be like the first day of filming and suddenly you have to cry on set. That is also equally as difficult, just probably not something your conscience is telling you is a bad thing. It also reminded me of that Heather Graham article I was reading this week where she talked about how when she was growing up, she grew up in a conservative household. Her dad was an FBI agent. Her mom was more artsy. And she wanted to be in, like, she was offered a role in the Heathers. And her dad said, you know, if you want to live in this house, you can't do that.
I don't even know what the Heathers is.
It was
what on earth would be in Heathers that was off limits, though?
I don't.
Because there was no sexual content.
If the guy's very conservative, I don't know. But he says no to being in that. And then later, when she talks about when she started working in Hollywood after she moves out of her family's home, she talks about how a lot of the roles seem to be boiling down to sexism. I'm like, well, your dad told you.
Yep.
Should have listened.
But you didn't listen. And now she blames society for what her father told her was wrong all along.
Ooh, I have so many thoughts on this, but I can't. Man, don't get me started.
No, just go for it. Go for it. Sound off.
Oh boy. Look. Oh boy. How can I'm. There's no way for me to broach this topic without sounding like sexist, if not misogynistic.
Go for it. We do that all the time.
Yeah. I'll put in summary. Generally speaking, in the absence of proper male guidance, women make a lot of terrible decisions.
Yes.
Like en masse.
Yes.
And also women generally just have a massive problem with accountability. It's never their fault. It's always someone else's, usually a man somewhere. Maybe the men breathing in the room in this case. But this is actually just this little excerpt is quite interesting to read because of like what you said, right? About your conscience. It's like she's clearly doing something that she knows, it's acting, quote unquote, but you know, she herself, I don't know her beliefs, background, anything. I know nothing about this woman, but she herself obviously clearly knows there's something here that's, I'm not really comfortable with this or whatever. But it's like, well, you know, and you do have the option to say no, because these type of situations exist and people will always frame it as if like, oh, she had to do it. Or she was like, no, she was paid probably a lot of money to do this and made this choice, made these decisions. Even these girls who do like OnlyFans, prostitution, whatever they're getting into, it's never their fault. They were failed by society. Somehow men are the problem. It's the culture. It's this, it's that. And there's just this massive absence of accountability. And yeah, fathers, it's important.
Well,
listen to your father. Listen to your dad. He's wiser than you think.
Women have this problem with taking accountability for their actions, but at the same time, you've stated here that women, in the absence of proper male guidance, will make bad decisions, which
Terrible
means
decisions.
that probably means they have limited accountability for their actions. That probably means they have limited agency compared to men, right?
Well,
that's my theory, at least.
Well, it depends on what narrative we're going with. Are we in the
reality.
Feminist, egalitarian, women are totally equal to men?
I'm going with reality. Women, in my opinion, I would say, in the absence of male guidance, women make bad decisions. That would lead me to believe that women have limited agency in these situations.
When you say agency, what do you mean?
The ability to rationally make decisions for oneself.
You mean like biologically, mentally? Is that what you mean? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, those two things really like can't coexist. Total accountability and empowerment and needing male guidance to make proper decisions.
The interesting discussion here would be like, well, how many days on set would it require for the dudes breathing in the background to be less awkward?
Thank you.
Right? Like, okay, so she says dudes, meaning she doesn't know who they are. She met the co-star, but she said that he seemed polite enough anyways and made her feel very comfortable. So that theoretically shouldn't change. I guess it could get even easier. But the nameless, faceless people in the background, your the dude operating the boom mic, people doing camera operation, your producers in the background on their cell phone. Like, those people aren't going to become less known to you, aren't going to become more known to you as this goes on. So, like, is the idea that if we were 15 days in, this would be less awkward? Maybe that's what she's saying. Could it be something that in her contract she could have written up, like, I won't do, because a lot of this, it does come down to logistics.
Look, the reality.
The process of filmmaking is it's a guerrilla warfare experience of getting everything done in a hyper logistic focus. So to do that, she would have to put it in her contract. I refuse to do it at this point in the show. But then you're not going to get the job.
I don't think there is any contract negotiation or arbitrary amount of days that could have passed to make this feel okay for her. Because regardless of how seasoned you are as an actor, it feels unnatural and wrong, morally wrong, to simulate sexual acts on camera or just perform real sex acts on camera, because people instinctually know that is wrong. And I tweeted about this and I said no more sex scenes, because obviously the actors hate doing them. They need intimacy coordinators on set to make sure they don't get a lawsuit. And the audiences are not clamoring for them. We don't feel comfortable watching these things anyway.
She didn't mention. She didn't mention an intimacy coordinator, which is what they always
almost
talk.
certainly
they
had one.
usually mention an intimacy coordinator.
Intimacy coordinator. What a job.
That's their job.
They almost certainly had one, even if she didn't mention it, because they need HR reps on site to make sure no one gets in trouble for putting their hand in the wrong place. But those people, they have jobs because actors are uncomfortable simulating sex on camera, as they should. You should follow that feeling and decide, I'm not going to do this.
Did you see
Just draw the line.
Did you see the name of the movie, though?
Yes. Depravity.
It's about a serial killer, right?
It's a crime.
It's about a serial killer. All right. I was gonna say, I'm like,
it's not just a porno, but what, like, the line is blurring now between what is a mainstream movie and a porn movie.
True Detective just hired adult film stars to be in their movies to do those types of scenes, because they're like, look, I'm a pro at this. I can take my clothes off anytime. Perhaps if the moral argument is that they know it's wrong, those actors of that profession have had more time to dull themselves to whatever they have a problem with.
Let's not even moralize it. It's your gut feeling. Follow your gut feeling that's telling you you're making the wrong choice.
It's interesting.
That's enough. You don't need, a religious argument behind it. You're just going with your gut. And her gut in that moment was telling her, get out of this situation. And she didn't follow it because she decided there is a number on a sheet. You name the price, and at this price, I am comfortable with doing this thing that goes against my conscience.
Yeah, people need to be careful with that, man. Honestly, people really need to think about what their price is and if they have one.
Well, they say everyone has one.
I see a strong disconnect.
Some people,
here.
it's death, and it should be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I genuinely think about this stuff.
Yes.
Like, with my, in the last 5 years in particular, growing my audience, and I don't like to say fame because it's a weird word, but it's what it is. Fame, wealth, notoriety, all of that stuff is over the course of time, like I'm not at the, nowhere near the top echelons of, fame and celebrity and all of that. But as it grows and your life changes and you see, you get a closer look on how people fall into certain things, right? Whether it's in the music industry or it's in entertainment or Hollywood or even politics or this or that, or even just social media and so on. You can really see the traps and the pitfalls and some of them up close. And I think it's important for people, especially people in that type of world, but I'd say individuals in general, just to think of like, okay, like truly on a deep level, like what are your principles and your values, and what are the things you can and can't compromise on, right? Because if there's an amount of money that someone can pay you to do something that goes against like your deeply held morals, values, or beliefs, that like there should be some things that no matter how much money someone offered you, you'd be like, no, absolutely not. It doesn't matter. You could give me $1 billion. I will not do that thing. And people need to think about where those lines are for themselves. Because if you don't think about it ahead of time, people like over time, they're just like slip into this, slip into that. Like, oh, well, I was offered this much to promote that or to do that, or
if you're in an industry like Hollywood, you are already primed for this moment for a long time beforehand. And I mean, think about why women slept with Harvey Weinstein.
Oh gosh,
right?
Tip of the iceberg.
Like that's just that is just the tip of the iceberg. What we were let know, like as the public, but I'm sure it's still going on. We just don't know who the other Harvey Weinsteins are. And you were primed in that industry and other industries too, like politics too, to compromise on not just your moral values, because a lot of people don't have those, at least not explicitly, but your gut instincts.
I want to address a little bit more about what they're talking about, the decline here. So it says a new report suggests that the fact that the Hollywood sex scene is declining fast. There is almost 40% less sexual content in major films than there was at the start of the millennium. Commissioned by the Economist, I apologize, for data analyst Stephen Follows, the report assembled data on the 250 highest-grossing films each year since the year 2000 and found that films released in 2023 had just over 60% of the erotic content found in the top 250. Broken down by genre, the decline was steepest in action movies, a drop of approximately 70%. That's because there can be no sex appeal to action movies anymore, ever, at all. The other thing that's important here, it says, while romantic films recorded much less change with the drop of just under 20%. Here's the thing. As budgets expand, movies aren't getting R ratings like they used to. They're making PG-13 safe Marvel movies, big budgets that want to draw the largest audience possible. Therefore, there's going to be 100 Captain Americas and just a few Saltburns.
Sure.
That's why.
Saltburn was made for streaming, right? It was made for Amazon Prime and produced by Amazon Prime. That's why.
It went to theaters.
Briefly.
Yes.
But that's... Yeah, it says movies with no sexual content have increased from 20% per year to 50% since 2000.
I'm surprised it was ever the case where 80% of movies had sexual content. That sounds,
whether
high.
they're talking like
just
people,
nudity.
80%.
I don't know if they're talking just nudity, or is it a Hollywood sex scene where they're under the covers and the covers are rustling around them and everyone's like, that looks uncomfortable. The point is, like, what do they describe as sexual content? Yeah. But we talk all the time, like, look, we went and watched Fall Guy yesterday, which go and see it, by the way. It's fantastic. And I was just happy to see a movie where a couple was actually like ended up together. Okay,
the guy gets the girl,
and a movie where the girl isn't cold, distant, and rude, and the guy's simpish and lame. It's a movie where there's an actual couple and they want to be together. You don't see a whole lot of that anymore, and in action movies especially, the woman can't be attracted to men. She has to be annoyed by the mere sight of men when she sees them. And the action hero, the guy, this is why I think that what they're doing with movies like this, it's a hack. Yeah. So they make it a action romantic comedy because a pure action movie isn't allowed to have a damsel in distress anymore. You can't. It's sexist to do that. It takes away her agency, as you said earlier. So making an action romantic comedy that equals out both the male and the female star allows there to be romance without people saying she's just she's just being used for her looks and her appearance. She doesn't have as important of a role.
She's a manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah. So they've actually found a workaround. I don't even know if it was conscious, But they found an unconscious workaround to the fact that you're not allowed to have the pure action movie anymore where the guy gets the girl.
Well, that kind of movies is going in theaters, and I think to make sense of this decrease in sex scenes and nudity, obviously the culture has not gotten any less sexually degenerate since 2000. It has gotten much worse. I think the reason for that is because you're going to find all of the softcore and sometimes hardcore pornography on streaming services. If you watch any streaming show or any streaming movie these days, it's usually porn in the first episode. That's how they think they can get your attention and keep you.
It's also to hook the studio. The studio mandates it and wants it there right away.
Yeah.
Because they think that that's going to sell people on it.
It's like OD, and this is why I steer clear of most of the new shows on streaming now, because it all is just aggressively in your face from the very first episode and very first scene sometimes. And I'm not interested. I'm not interested in the story anymore if that's the trade-off I have to make.
Good for you.
And they also, I saw people arguing against my point, saying, well, sex is a natural part of the real world and our life experiences, therefore it should be reflected back at us in the entertainment that we watch. But, you don't see people on shows taking a shit.
I was about to say.
So what's that about?
Yeah.
Right? That's realistic. Should we see that? I don't get it. That's just a totally moot point, and I think it's coming from people who are porn-brained and desensitized to the point where they don't even realize it's being shoved in their face this much. So.
All right, let's go ahead and let's.
Did you see Elon's comment on it?
What did he say?
He just did the crying emoji. The sad crying.
Well, there's plenty of movies for him to watch from the 2000s, so he'll be fine.
Poor Elon.
The Rumbling said that pastor of death was ridiculous. You can tell he didn't want to get canceled by his woke congregation. Jeez. He's the reason why Catholicism is failing.
Oh, was he Catholic?
From the sound of it, you're calling him a pastor. I assumed he was Protestant, but it would shock me if that was a Catholic priest in culture war today. I'd have to check for myself. Shane H. Wilder clarified. He said the pastor was not Catholic. He was a Protestant. Yeah. He said prot. Yes. Shane H. Wilder. Brett is 66 and a half for retirement now. They're going up half a year every year until it reaches 70. Corey Anderson said, women may choose the bear, but the bear wants everyone to leave.
Let's do two more.
Where's the bear's choice in all of this?
Just leave the bear alone.
I know.
Mothman's accountant said, I had an assignment to argue a policy we wanted implemented. I said to abolish income tax. Another student said to get more animals in public office.
Okay.
Like
furries?
Yeah, I guess we could have a furry president.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, why does it always have to be the sexualization of nuns? Removes glasses and smacks forehead. I don't think they were sexualizing the nuns exactly. They weren't sexy nuns or whatever. They were just wearing weird yellow habits.
Banana nuns.
The ad was generally just strange.
Yeah.
It was.
It's just a strange ad in general.
I have no idea.
I picture the guy who made that get
up.
sober 5 years later, and he's like, what the hell did I make, and why the hell was it approved?
That was the coke snorting executive we were talking about.
They've moved on to television ads so they can be more unhinged. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. What's going on with this OnlyFans woman?
Yes, this is an absolutely insane story. Recently, an OnlyFans model named Farah Khalidi did an interview with Richard Hanania in which she admitted that she was paid by the Biden administration to create political propaganda with her platform from being an OnlyFans Thot. So I thought we should just show the clip before we state our opinions on this. No bias, just hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Here we go.
So you were in school, you were still in college when you started as a TikTok person, right? Or you started OnlyFans when you were in school too?
No, I started TikTok the spring semester of my senior year, and I was like, fuck, I finally have to start applying for law school. And then female privilege, life is so easy for a woman. Obviously I lucked out, I'm just kidding. I lucked out, and then, TikTok was basically full time for me. I think I was taking ads by the time I graduated college from the Biden administration and Planned Parenthood and dating apps and stuff. So it was fully financially sustaining.
So you were getting, the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah, I was doing full-on political propaganda.
And they would really with what kind of Biden created 10 million jobs this year.
Honestly. And the funny thing is they're like, do not disclose this is an ad because, you know, they're like, technically it's not a product, so you don't have to disclose it's an ad. Because I think they just wanted like some
sounds illegal.
Edgy girl of color to just tell people, like when they nominated like Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're like, can you say like as a person of color, you know, that you feel reflected? And it's like a white woman emailing this to me, and she's like giving me this script, and I'm like, no. And she's like, please. And I'm like, no, I'll like talk about the news of it, but I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna have a white person tell me to be like, you know, this is how I feel as a person of color. Like, it's just so, I think that black-pilled me slightly on like, you know, political propaganda stuff.
So the Biden administration sees, oh, here's this young,
I mean, they use like a conduit. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not Biden, but it's like a third party. You know what I mean? It's like a media company that's doing it on his behalf. I'm not blaming him for this.
Yeah, and the message is like, because you're a dark-skinned woman, you will be inspired by Ketanji Brown Jackson, and all the kids should support her.
Yeah, they're like, basically as like another black person, just say that like you feel reflected by Ketanji. I'm like, no, I'll talk about like Ketanji's background and her accomplishments, but like I never, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say like the corny stuff. Even if it was a brown person emailing it to me, I'm like, no, that's not like how I feel. Like I don't look at like Ketanji and feel like, wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
So you sell sex online, but it's good to know that you have moral principles that you stick to.
She's like, look.
Like, I'm not going to say the corny shit.
I have so many questions.
I like the idea. She's like, could you write a better script? I just like, it's not hitting. So this one's not hitting. It really doesn't reflect. What's my motivation in this scene?
I love how she was like, don't blame Biden, by the way.
What even is this podcast?
Richard Hanania is like a cultural commentator, so
why
he had her on. I've seen her on the Whatever podcast many times, but she's definitely an OF model. But it's just strange for her to come out and admit this to everyone, that she is using her platform as a digital prostitute to propagandize people. Not even for like cool purposes,
very
but just
blatant.
for like very normal like democratic platform ideas.
Like they could.
I'm sure Republicans do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm more insulted by how boring the write-up was. Like I feel seen by Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Well, she didn't do that one.
I know.
Okay, she has boundaries, right? But you can see her naked on the internet.
It's kind of fascinating. I mean, the most fascinating part is how they don't have to disclose that it's a paid advertisement. That's the most
because it's not a product, which is interesting, right? Like,
correct.
It's an idea, not a product. That sounds legally questionable, but that's just me. I'm not an expert.
Who makes the laws?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Like, what would the Republican version of this be?
I'm sure that there are equivalents. Like they buy off the influencers.
That's what I'm saying.
Like Harry Sisson.
Nothing is real. Like, especially for the ones who are the most successful. I look at a successful influencer the same way I would look at any celebrity. Right? If your post is, first of all, if your post is monetized anyways, like I can take what you're saying at face value and judge it for my own, by its own merits. But I don't buy into what anybody who says anything on the internet as like morally somebody I want to support just because they're successful. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, she has this audience of simps, right? So they buy her OnlyFans because they want to see her naked, right? Obviously, but they want to tell themselves they also find her interesting as a person and they respect her as a public intellectual. So maybe they are listening to her talking points.
The normalization of like prostitution and pornography, particularly over the last 5 years, is very, shall I say, disheartening.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
I don't know the numbers. What percentage of women under, I don't know, 30 or 35 do you think
in the US?
In the US.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
We pulled up these stats because you can see the demographics of people who are OnlyFans creators versus the customers.
I've heard 1%, but I don't know if that's correct.
It's definitely like below 2% of women in the U.S.
It was like 2% or something like that.
Is that was that of women in the entire U.S.?
It was the whole.
But that also counts
because that's including like 80-year-old women and stuff. Like I'm talking about the demographic. Right. The demographic. Yeah. I wonder what the percentage is within the demographic. Let's say like 18 to 40.
Yeah, but that also, it would include accounts on OnlyFans that have been like abandoned or ones that were never started or whatever.
Just making one says something, though.
Right, exactly, yes. But
it does say something.
yeah, I mean, they showed there's a huge population of like the customer base that's from the global south, as it's now called, like men from India, and all of these other countries.
Okay.
But most of the creators, the female creators, I bet they're from Western countries.
Oh, for 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love the idea that someone's like, look, I came for the nudes, but I stayed for the Biden political
I
propaganda.
stayed for all of your super important philosophical takes, queen. Like,
the same guy read
come on.
the same guy read the articles in Playboy back in the 80s.
And now I'm gonna be suspicious of every OnlyFans TikTok chick now. Like I think they're all paid.
You already should be.
I mean, yeah, but like, which ones of them are funded by the Biden administration?
You know who really gets hurt the most are the ones who actually are political and believe these things. They're like, look, I'm not getting paid for this. This is what I actually believe. How dare you?
How dare you? Biden basically has a whole
prostitutes
harem.
prostituting.
Biden
Shocker.
is personally responsible for funding the lifestyles of prostitutes. Love that for him.
Oh, man.
I pulled up this tweet that I sent it to you just now. She posted this photo of herself like pushing her tits out in a pool and made the caption, "Should the death penalty be abolished?"
Holy shit.
This is her political propaganda. This is an actual example of it. And the fact that people aren't talking about her tits in the comments, they're actually debating the issue in the comments. Like this probably means that images like that don't excite people anymore. You've seen it all at some point.
Like the first response is like, yes, both of them should. What?
But yeah, that is exactly the political propaganda that Biden is paying for here.
I do find it interesting because I feel like, you know, if these were being exposed on the right, they would love to make headlines about this towards Trump, which would be interesting. But the fact of the matter is politics is dirty, and everybody's involved in trying to get their message out to as many
there's
people
nothing
as
new
possible.
here. Like, I mean, didn't Biden invited, like, what, 2 years ago, he invited all those LGBTQ activists and influencers and whatever to the White House.
Like, flashed
there were
fake boobs
even
in the lawn.
wasn't Dylan Mulvaney himself one of these? Like, there's it's not new. It's not new. They're just saying, okay, TikTok is where the young people are at.
And then Biden's like, psych, TikTok ban.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What's the deal with that? Is that actually happening or what?
Looks like it's still gonna. I mean, it's been signed.
Well, it
into
passed
law,
the House.
He signed it.
He signed it already.
He signed it until and it goes into effect in January.
Oh, interesting.
Unless they sell it first, but they said they're not planning to.
ByteDance doesn't want to sell it.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I see stuff like this, and I just think that a lot of it is if you're politically aware and you pay attention to what's going on, it's nothing new. But I don't think that the average person who works their 9-to-5 job and goes home to their family, or is a young kid, he's in college and he's just going to he's working part-time, he's going to classes, and he goes on social media a lot. I don't think they think about the fact that these things are very real and that the political landscape is messy.
No, I don't think most people think that much, period.
There you go. I think that is the most disturbing part of it, is just that a lot of people, and you could even make the argument that the people who are arguing politics on Facebook wouldn't know that something like this is going on, but still think that it's an us versus them mentality, as if it's not a uniparty anyway. Okay, that's my own personal opinion, that it's a uniparty in that you really don't have any good candidates as it is, right? But they're not going to think about it.
Or if you do, they get railroaded very quickly.
Like, they're not going to talk about dark money from super PACs and all of this stuff. It's disturbing, and to see it done, like you said, online prostitutes is a whole nother ballgame because they're reaching a whole different audience. You're right. All the comments here are talking about the death penalty.
Like, I guess her tits just aren't interesting enough, so this is what she had to turn to.
So actually, it's funny if she's like, then she gets a complex. She's like, look, I was paid for this.
Does anyone actually think I'm hot, or are they just into me for my high IQ?
She gets really upset. She's like, why do you want to keep talking to me about the stuff that I'm interested in?
If you scroll down, there's like a photo of like an emoji with a fat ass. Should the death penalty be abolished?
Absolutely not. It should be brought back. It should be used more often.
Well, since she asked, I don't.
It's kind of like the political version of like in Republican circles, it's the trad Thot who like, makes cookies with like massive cleavage.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, what do you think of the cookies I baked?
Basically the same thing. Yep. They're cornering the same market.
Like, At least the lady baking cookies had to like actually bake the cookies well.
You gotta get the apron and like have all these set
I also
props.
like the idea that she puts on the apron and the apron isn't low cut enough, so she like cuts a part of the apron out, completely destroying the purpose of the apron in the first place.
Oh no, there's cake batter getting on my chest.
Whatever
Women
am I
are so
going
funny,
to
man.
do?
Women are hilarious.
That is,
Unintentionally most of the time. All right.
Let's go to Super Chats.
Shadow Zero said, off topic, ZUBY, what did you think of the J News crew? I don't know if I'm saying that right. And did Steve try to get you into Woo?
Wait, let me see. Let me see the
JK
News. Oh yeah, the Bart Kwan and his friends out in LA. I did their podcast a couple months ago. Yeah, they were solid people. I was gonna say solid guys, but there was a lady as well. Yeah, good crew.
What is Woo?
Woo, I'm not familiar with it.
WOO, I don't know.
No,
what
but
that means.
I know if you mean woo, like woo, like woo woo. I know what that means.
Hippy dippy.
Yeah, hippy dippy kind of stuff. That's what like
I don't know.
Spiritual but not religious, man. You know.
Not that Jon Stewart.
No, I don't rock with that. But yeah.
Not that Jon Stewart said I'm 5'4". I hate the term short king.
Yeah, I'll send you that link sometime.
It's a slur.
It's a covert diss.
I never meant it like that when I said it, but
you're beautiful for your age to a woman.
Okay, but they're not saying like you're great for your height. They're just saying that you happen to be short and you're a king.
When I hear short kings used, it's typically got a positive vibe to it. When no one calls me a short king.
Take the compliments when they come.
Tyler, it was Tyler Fisher who
W.
was originally talking about this.
By the way, if you're a short guy, get jacked.
There you go.
There's always a solution.
Yeah, if you're a short guy, get jacked. Trust me.
Pat the plumber said Brett's not wearing his blonde wig because he doesn't want ZUBY to think he's a dork. But blonde Brett gets more super chats.
That is absolutely
Yeah, we were
true.
talking about it. Like, we had to do this yesterday. He was wearing this wig and the sunglasses, and like, we have to be professional in front of the guests.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Like, you know what? Like, it's like, oh, hi, how's it going? It's nice to meet you. Oh, yeah, what do you think? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy stuff going on.
Spirit Halloween.
Anyways, like, sit down and just that and the sunglasses.
What type of wig?
Woo!
It was like a Spirit Halloween Trump wig.
I think that's
right.
Oh, okay.
You have it on hand. You
Got
just
it.
so happened to have it here.
I know it was ready.
He had it ready.
Yeah, we'll try this next week. If we get 5 crisis parties while wearing it, it will continue the week after. Otherwise, it gets retired.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Frank Wall said, no, black man.
That's what they would, that's...
I said, we can have Black Batman. We just have to call him Black Man, and he drives the Blackmobile.
There you go.
And he goes to the Black Cave. Pat the plumber said, I'd be okay with this dude playing Bond, not Batman.
Interesting.
Winston Duke is not British. So
He has a name that sounds so British, though.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a very British
Winston
name.
Duke.
I mean, maybe he is, but I've never heard him talk in a British accent. I'd have to look it up, but I don't think he is. I think he's probably American.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd prefer white James Bond nonetheless.
There you go.
Mr. Anderson said, you can have a multiverse, but the Prime universe always takes center stage. Look at Stargate, the Trek Mirror universe, etc.
Here's the thing, though. Like he's campaigning to be Batman now, which would be in the Prime universe. If you want to do it 10 years later and risk, changing the story and the character, that's fine. But you have to have an established track record of success before you do that. Remember, they're still supposedly making the Superman movie with not Michael B. Jordan, with what's his name? Somebody like they're still gonna do the Earth 2 Black Superman movie.
But it's not Superman Legacy.
But it's not Superman Legacy.
Okay. Nerdy Film Girl said, go out and support the Fall Guy. No spoilers, but Kathleen Kennedy is literally the villain. A love letter to stuntmen, practical filmmaking, and heavily critiques the major studios. Vote with your dollars. Absolutely. And we just reviewed the Fall Guy earlier today and watched it last night. It was great, and this is rare for me, but I have nothing negative to say about it.
Correct.
What's the movie about? I haven't heard of it.
It's about
without spoiling it for everyone watching right now.
How does
Stuntman, did you say?
Yeah, he's a stuntman. It's played by Ryan Gosling. His love interest is Emily Blunt. She is directing a movie, and he has to go find the actor that he is the stunt double for because he's been missing in order to win her back and rekindle this fling they had.
Okay, got it.
It's amazing.
It's great.
Okay. Let's do one more.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, "Ya boy Zach roasting the Sam Wilson Cap comics and the woke Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Panther and the Crew comics are some of the funniest things in life."
That was by the way, Ta-Nehisi Coates is who is doing the Superman, the Val Zod Superman, Black Superman movie. Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after that. I still love watching all of Ya boy Zach's videos. They're all like 35 minutes long and they're all stream of consciousness. And like it takes 20 minutes to even get on the topic, which is where
it satisfies your ADHD.
It does. Like he's like, anyway, so it's about this comic book creator. So I was in the military, right? And then I'm like, and then it's 20 minutes of talking about a story about being in boot camp. It's awesome.
Love
It's
it.
the greatest channel. All right, time to tell everybody about man or bear.
Yeah, I think we need to single-handedly settle this debate so everyone can stop talking about it already. Recently, women were asked if they would rather be stuck in the woods with a man or a bear. And that raises the question, who is more dangerous to a woman, a man or a bear?
This video was used as cringe of the day.
We did. We
Yes.
used this as our cringe of the
Like,
day
a
last
month-
week.
It was before that. It was a couple weeks ago.
I looked and I found it was like a week ago.
Okay.
We have a bad sense of time here.
We do.
This live stream is not great for our sense of time. But it turned out to not just be a blip on the radar. It erupted into this huge debate, and it's battle of the sexes energy online right now with people trying to settle it.
Let's watch the video again
yeah.
so everybody can get a refresher before
Yeah.
we get started here. Let's watch this.
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Bear. Man is scary. With a bear.
Well, I've heard about bears. They
Oh,
don't
it's in the
always
UK?
attack you, right? Unless you like fuck with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there.
A bear.
I would say a man.
I will say that I'm.
She hesitated
I would
there.
say a man.
I'm going to give some credit to the editor. He picked a very, very non-threatening man and a very, very non-threatening looking bear.
True. They both look
He found the
very friendly.
cuddliest of both of them,
Right.
so as to not show bias. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that goes.
I didn't know this came from my home country.
Well, I mean, now that I think about it, all of these women are in the UK. Demographics are rapidly changing there, and I can imagine why they
They're
would
not
think
just in the UK.
men are
it looks
unsafe.
look like they were in London.
It makes it make a little bit more sense why they feel unsafe around men. It's just a certain demographic of men that they feel is a danger to their safety.
I think a lot of this is just 25 to 30 years of, feminist propaganda. And what's your take on it? We went back and forth about this a little yesterday.
Well, it's because everybody is talking past each other.
Yes, I believe that.
Right? And then all of these men, because they're like highly rational, they want to look at the statistics. They're like, look at these bear attack statistics and then look at these like rape statistics, and then expecting women to look at that and make their decision.
Can I also be a killjoy here?
Yes.
Because I'm just like rational that way. Is with something like this, you can also just get whatever result you want.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. That goes
Right,
with every street interview.
I know. Yeah.
Every street.
I know, but
just-
not everyone is smart enough to like work that out. I know you guys are.
To what you said, like there was actually a really funny thread here. It says, I shared the bear versus man dilemma with my boyfriend and didn't get the response I expected. Now I'm sad. His response was,
it's a shit test.
Exactly. I think there are two questions there. The fear that women feel of men, the total lack of knowledge that women have about what it means to meet a bear. Then I said that it wasn't about the bear, but rather our perception of men. But he wanted to take another route. How many people know how to judge the differential danger of all these animals, And even in audio and about statistics on the number of bears you encounter versus the number of men and the rate of bad interactions, then I said, I'm not going to talk about this, okay? Because clearly we were having two separate conversations, and at that moment, I thought it was insensitive for him to go that route, and I didn't want to hear about it.
Your data is insensitive.
Woman moment.
It was a woman moment.
It's an absolute woman moment right there.
She's in her element. It is
Do you
the
know what?
perfect.
I'm gonna be totally real, especially like if my view of look, social media is a funny thing. Like, we're all people who spend a lot of time online, but spending a lot of time online and not also spending a lot of time in the real world is a very dangerous combo, and you can tell when people are terminally online in that sense. Because it's interesting. Like, I just flew into the USA. So from the outside, it looks like the whole USA is just a GTA server. Okay, so if you don't live in the USA and you don't visit the USA, say you're just someone in England, or you're someone in Saudi Arabia, or you're someone in Nigeria, and you just see what you see about America from the internet and the media, and it's just shootings and stabbings and LGBT madness and people fighting and toxic politics and what, right? All you see is the degeneracy and the madness. You don't see anything like normal and sane and people being reasonable. But similarly, when it comes to like the gender discourse online, you see like the craziest guys and the craziest women.
Yes.
Right? If I formed my view of women in general based off what I see online and on social media, I would absolutely be a misogynist by now.
Yeah.
I would just be like, good freaking grief. Like, and I think this is why some of these like, I don't know, the Zoomers or younger millennials who are like terminally online, why they have such messed up views of the opposite sex, which lead to some of these answers perhaps, is because they're just they're so detached from reality. Because the negative and the toxicity and the craziest people get so much highlight and shine globally, right? In the past, it's like these things don't go outside the neighborhood. But now you can just have one silly woman somewhere in her car decides to record something on TikTok, and then millions of people see it globally, and now everyone's commenting on this, and it creates this weird battleground, and then you've got the algorithms feeding it and so on. It's it's quite a mess, and I think it's why a lot of women have really effed up perceptions of men, and I think it's why a lot of increasing number of men have very messed up perceptions of women, because they're not actually getting them from reality, but from just not picking online.
We're gonna need your answer, Mary. You're the woman here today. We're gonna need your answer.
I debated it in my head, but I don't want to be a pick-me for saying it. I think I would pick the man.
Okay.
In the woods, because at least I know it's just a random man, but at least then there would be a chance of me making it out of the woods, because he could help me like get out of there, maybe help us forage some food or hunt. Otherwise I would be hopeless.
With a man, you've probably got like a 1 to 2% chance that he's like a proper like psycho.
Sociopath.
Yeah.
Killer?
Yeah, probably like if we're just like a random amount out of the population, it's probably like 1 to 2% chance. Like, okay,
I saw this story.
He's like seriously bad news.
Woman mauled by bear after rolling down window to take a selfie. I thought he wanted to be friends.
No, that can't be real.
This is from April 26th.
Come on, that can't be real.
Well, social media users debate if it says, let's look at here. It says Scottish tourist mauled by a bear through car window in Romania.
Poor woman. I'm not gonna be next TV news.
She's in good spirits.
Yeah, she didn't get disfigured or anything. Like, it's okay.
I was gonna say that couldn't have been that bad a mauling.
My logic was when I saw it, I said, okay, what are the chances if you run into both of them that if the man, like if a man attacks you, is the bear gonna help? But if the bear attacks you, is a man gonna help?
Well, you see all these videos now where women are getting attacked in the streets, and then there's a dude standing over here, and he's not going to get involved.
No, yeah, but the bear can't sue. The bear can't sue you.
True.
So there is no Daniel Penny situation here.
Man
plus,
1, bear 0.
There's always that the inside joke. It's like every man like dreams of fighting a bear. Like have you ever seen the video where the bear goes into bear goes into a gas station? And the guy's like, every guy dreams of this scenario. And I was like, personally, I'm like, I've never dreamed of that scenario.
Dude, I don't know why. I'd be so much more afraid of a kangaroo.
Because they're jacked?
Yeah, like I 100%. Like, I feel like I could escape a bear somehow.
You mean one of the big Outback ones? You get there's different flavors of kangaroo out there.
I've seen like videos
giant
of they're
ones,
like in fist fights.
Yeah, there's the
with
giant red ones
Australians.
you get out in the redback, and then there's like the smaller gray ones that are more like chill and friendly.
This was another response that I saw. A bear has never intentionally spoken over me.
Oh,
a bear has never punched out a window because I disagreed with it. A bear has never voted against my right to a medical procedure.
Oh,
a bear has never
great.
slipped something in my
Liberal
drink.
women, man, gosh.
A bear has never said within earshot of me that it intends to get me drunk enough to take advantage of me. A bear has never ruined my credit score.
This woman is interacting with a lot of terrible men.
No accountability. And no point. I bet you at no point in her life if assuming that's real. I bet at no point in her life has she thought like, I'm the common denominator here. Maybe like I'm not making great decisions.
The real question is, was this all one dude or many different men?
Probably.
If it's
Just an
one dude,
absolute menace.
if he's one dude, he's prolific. He's absolutely prolific.
And she stuck with him for a long time.
But she can change him. She can change
fix him.
He's a fixer-upper.
I also saw this.
I can fix the bear.
Your girl and the bear she told you not to worry about. Women choosing the bear since 1991.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
That's actually hilarious.
This one, the bear choosing a man after a week with the woman. This one, there's a comparison here. So it's a brown bear versus Kyle. Kyle is only 5'10". Ew.
He's a short king.
174 pounds. He's a project engineer, and he says hi to you at the gym.
Ew.
Yes. The bear, 9 feet tall, up to 1,300 pounds, claws up to 4 inches, bite force 1,200 psi.
Whoa.
Pelt and fur up to 5 inches with a land speed of 35 miles an hour.
Chad. Chad Bear.
Chad Bear.
Virgin Kyle. All right.
And then this one, women when you don't agree with their hypothetical scenarios that make them feel like a victim.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite.
Oh, come on now. Not that.
This is a sign people spend too much time online.
Literally, Lauren Chen reposted this. Says, like, if you laugh at this, you spend too much time online. Parentheses, I spend too much time online.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw this, which is where the woman actually gets what she wants and gets to interact with the bear.
Oh, it's a nice bear.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm sure there are a lot of nice pit bulls too.
Yes.
I don't think that bear's nice. I think that bear's trying to get to the food.
Yeah.
I think if that
and then the
cage were not
top
there-
comment on this says, still safer being in the woods than with an unknown man.
Well, the perception behind that is that men only refrain from hurting women because we have this society that enforces laws and, you know, the threat of punishment, the threat of social shaming, and being brought down in the patriarchal hierarchy is what keeps men from
harming
women. And to an extent, that's correct, but
I wonder what percentage of these women writing these dumb comments have like put themselves in a stupid situation with a random man. I would bet it's pretty high. I bet a lot of them are on like Tinder, like swipe.
Dude, every time you go back to your apartment with this dude you met at the bar, you are in a life or death situation. Anytime you are alone with a man you barely know, you could be easily in a life or death situation. But I think women aren't even told now. They're like that they are kind of at the physical mercy of men. They aren't even told that.
Because do you know who normally teaches that lesson? A man. Your father.
Well, I think they're watching movies where 90-pound women are beating up grown men, and that's just what they believe reality to be.
Yep.
Yeah. It's and let's face it, these debates are always designed. Anything that's based around the battle of the sexes is internet fodder, and it's great for engagement. A lot of times we have a lot of these discussions here where we talk about these questions that are posed on Twitter. And most of the time I find them philosophically interesting, though maybe perhaps a bit disconnected from my actual existence, because I feel like most of the discussions people have online are that way. This one felt somehow in less good faith than a lot of them, because again, women especially will destroy themselves with these hypotheticals. It's why they ask you, would you still love me if I was a worm?
Yeah, but it's easier to pass on that question, I think. We got a 20 from Crispy Like Transport LLC. Good show today. Thank you.
She says, does my butt look big in these pants?
Well, that's a good thing now.
Yes.
That used to be a bad thing, but now it's a good thing.
Do these jeans make me look fat?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, honey. Actually, I wasn't going to tell you, but those jeans make you look like Lizzo, but I was going to leave it be. But since you asked.
But they say Lizzo is beautiful.
Yeah, but those women, then you have to ask them that question. Like, well, if that's a bad thing, then
just
why
tell
do
them
tell her she's
you look
beautiful?
like Lizzo today. See what they say to that.
All
They'll
right.
probably take it as an insult.
We'll have to wait and see if maybe this will just really improve conservation efforts and more women will take to nature by going out to explore their future in the woods by interacting with bears.
By the way, we should settle our poll.
Oh yes,
now.
Let's go ahead and do that right now.
Our totally nonsensical and unnecessarily vague poll.
Let's see.
Who would women rather be stuck in the woods with? 66% say man.
There you have it.
It's settled.
I don't know.
We have settled the debate. Everyone should stop debating now.
Those women seem
It's done.
very specifically desirous to be in the woods with a bear. Also, the other thing is like, if they were operating in good faith, they would have said, "What would you rather be stuck alone with in the woods? A hungry grizzly bear or an escaped convict?"
Oh boy.
Well, if it's more specific.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That actually makes it easier to answer.
Escaped convict is still the better answer.
Yeah.
Is it?
A hungry grizzly bear?
Oh, if it's
You're
hungry.
finished.
Okay, I forgot the
hungry grizzly
part.
bear, like 0% chance survival.
I forgot the
And you
hungry
don't
part,
know
yeah.
what the guy's been in prison for. Like if he's a mass murderer, rapist, that's not good. But he could have just been. Could have been tax
white-collar
evasion.
criminal. I mean,
Tax
It's
evasion.
easier to outrun the convict, I guess.
Exactly.
And also, someone can be a convict without. I'm not here on my pro-convict vibe, but like most people who are convicts are not just like total psychos who will murder anyone who's next to them.
Right.
Right. Even if they are a murderer, even if they killed someone, they probably killed someone. They probably didn't kill everyone they encountered. Right. Like they were in a gang or something and they shot one of their ops, or there was some crazy situation.
Whoever they killed was
see what I
asking
mean?
for it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to crisis party.
All right, let's super chat it up. Pat the Plumber said, Buffalo soldiers in Godless were badass cowboys. Never saw that. Shane H. Wilder said chocolate chip is the best answer. I would have also accepted snickerdoodle. Oatmeal raisin is the only boring answer. I think oatmeal raisin is underrated.
I like oatmeal raisin. It's one of my favorite cookies.
Not a fan.
I mean, it's not the best.
I prefer it to chocolate chip.
Yeah.
That's my
Like-
controversial take of the day.
I would rather eat raisins on their own.
Okay,
Personally.
that's really weird.
No, oatmeal raisins actually I think is top 3 cookies.
Jared Price said, all I'm getting from the bear versus man question is women prefer gay men in the woods. I apologize for my dumb joke. Okay. Corey Anderson said, it's pain meds, Mary, not alcohol. Okay, that's what makes you super chat the way you do. Rhaegar Targaryen said, Heather Graham's dad was Stan from American Dad.
There you go.
Is that actually true?
I didn't know that.
First Last said, Brett, how are you watching Continuum?
Well, you see, my friend, a long time ago, I lived a pirate's life. I sailed many high seas, so.
You have reformed.
I have since reformed, but still have the spoils of my previous plunder on external hard drives.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, or maybe, and just hear me out here, don't do the sex scene to begin with. It's a crazy concept, I know, but it's for the best. Well, it's too late now. She already did it. Okay, I don't know how to say this. Kitovi Swiss said, y'all going to see Cody race tomorrow? He needs your support.
I don't know where that race is, but I believe I'm going to a local spring fest tomorrow.
That's great.
Yes. Very
Shane H.
boring
Wilder.
summer stuff.
What I liked about The Night Agent was that they could have easily thrown a sex scene in, but instead they chose to fade to black. It was refreshing.
Yep.
Never
They should
need
do
to
that.
do anything but fade to black. Pat the Plumber said her OF is Pinocchio Ho.
So does that mean she like lies a lot, or what?
I guess.
She lies on her back a lot.
Rhaegar Targaryen said Phil is a short king and he's a rock star.
But the rock star is the more prominent part of that than the short king part.
Phil would embrace short king as a term, I think. Savrik said those who dispersed around the globe can now absorb the technology and culture of those nations. The more guilt and compassion felt by those nations will make this cultural absorption become more absolute.
Do you think it's harder to absorb other culture? I mean, like, actually experiencing a culture as it exists in the real world is very different from how you perceive a culture as it's shown online.
Absolutely, 1,000,000,000%.
Like, it's so very different.
Completely different.
Pat the Plumber said Mary didn't hate it. Mind blown.
Also, I want to push
That's
back
rare
to-
for me.
Somebody said in the comments, Brett likes everything. I went back and looked at like all our like reviews that we've done. I think there was a little over half I gave positive reviews to.
Yeah, too many.
The point being that that's not everything.
I know you don't like everything, Brett. The Manic Mustache said, let me fix the problem. Men hear bear, they think claw... Wait, what? They think claws, fangs, and 1,500 pounds of hunger. Women hear bear, they think about an overweight gay guy that's into leather babies and interior design.
Okay.
Great.
Not the answer I was thinking.
DCNC said, big up Luton Town.
Yeah, that's where I was born.
There you go.
Mr. Anderson said, men think of 3 things: fighting bears, Rome, and sex.
Well, it's the Roman Empire specifically, I was told.
I miss the Roman Empire discourse.
I mean, I do believe that most men have something that they think extensively about that has no bearing on their regular life.
Oh, for sure.
In a lot, but it's
sure.
not always necessarily the Roman Empire.
We think a lot about hypotheticals.
Yeah.
Is yours IMDb trivia?
No, that's practical for my life.
Well, what is it then?
What is mine? Degradation of family and relationships, and it's not in a negative sense, but you see the signs everywhere, and then and a lot of it to me, it's about, I think the most about how we perceive things on the internet through how we perceive things in the real world. There's a reason why I always talk about when you're debating someone online and they dismiss the idea of anecdotal evidence. I said, for the most part, people live in anecdotal evidence.
Yes.
You can give somebody all the statistics in the world. It usually doesn't matter because to them, what they've seen in the real world is how they process it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly at arms about what I'm told is true and what I see online and then what I actually perceive in the real world, and living under the idea that no matter how certain you are of a concept, there's a huge percentage chance that unless you've lived that concept or that idea fully, and most of us don't live every idea that we spout an opinion on, you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
At least in some fashion.
It's part of why humility is so important.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
We got a $20 super chat from Dreamcast Night. He said, better bear question. Would you rather be stuck with a bear that escaped from a circus or a good-looking guy that is a multiple widower under suspicious circumstances?
They're like, did the circus let the guy out? Did the circus just get rid of him? He was too unruly?
Well, the circus bear has been abused, so he's going to be more aggressive than other bears, maybe.
He might be more domesticated.
The widower, I would have to marry him for him to kill me, so at least I have some time to think about it.
There you go. Perfect.
Shane H. Wilder said, meet the man because we can devise a way to kill the bear, or at least escape the bear. Yeah, that's the right answer, I think.
And remember,
figured it out.
If you're with a friend and a bear is chasing you, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You only have to be faster than your friend.
Good point. Gordon Shumway said, Mary, a bear is so much scarier than a kangaroo. Just look up what a bear looks like without fur. That I didn't even want to think about that. Also, they should ask men, who do you trust your life savings with, a loan shark or a woman? Is that the equivalent question? I just want to ask, like, would you rather be in the woods with a bear or a woman?
A woman, obviously. But the thing is, like, I might answer bear if I want to troll.
Yeah. I think maybe the women in the video were trolling.
Yeah, of course.
They could have been.
Of course, I don't take
Do
it
women
seriously.
troll regularly? Are women big trollers when they're doing street interviews? I don't know if I buy that.
When they're like, I'm a 10, like when they're asked to rate themselves, yes, I do think they're trolling.
I think they often just answer what they think other women want them to answer.
Yeah. Mr. Anderson said, woman in cube with bear, it's like my granddad said. If you don't give a woman what she wants, she'll be unhappy. Give her her wants and she'll be miserable.
The person in the cube was also like filming it and trying to keep. I love the valiant effort to keep the camera steady as this bear is just flipping her at will.
Well, people like go in the cages in the ocean and they want to fight sharks.
You can do that in Dubai in the mall.
Whoa, that's
in Dubai Mall. There's like a giant aquarium in the middle.
You got to sign a lot of papers
with like stingrays and sharks and stuff in it, just like in the mall.
I hate that.
And yeah, you can go in the cage.
DCNC said Morley's or Sam's Chicken.
That's so funny, Morley's.
Wait, what
hilarious.
does that mean?
They're like fried chicken places in London. I'm not even from London, but I used to live in South London, so like I know exactly what he's talking about.
What is Nando's?
Nando's is a restaurant.
But like, is it
peri peri chicken?
Okay.
Portuguese chicken.
Why is it cheeky?
That is so funny. What?
Like, genuine question.
That is so funny.
Like, what makes it cheeky?
That's so funny because, gosh, that I can't answer that quickly. That's a long answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's lore that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, there's background here, even in the multiple meanings of the word cheeky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morley is also the name of like the television brand version cigarettes that's supposed to imitate Marlboro. Like if you look at a movie or a television show and they're smoking, it looks like a Marlboro pack. It's usually a Morley.
Interesting.
Fake name.
Shane H. Wilder said, man bear or man bear pig?
Not man bear pig.
Nate Kraft said, how can you talk about cookies while there's a genocide in Gaza?
That is true. I also saw this unbelievable heart-crushing post. Actually, no, never mind. It's not heart-crushing because it's funny.
Okay.
This lady showed a text exchange with her mother, and it said, Mom, I will not drink Starbucks coffee because they're murdering children in Palestine.
Starbucks is personally making sure that
the mom goes, I love their mocha chocolate chip. and all the posts were like, normie mom is a win. like even though the supposedly, like, I didn't do any research into it, but I was told that the stuff about Starbucks supporting Israel was actually proven false. And
it's not even
there
true.
There aren't even Starbucks in Israel. But the point is, I love that the mom goes, that's nice, dear.
Get me a frappuccino on your way home.
It's actually the perfect response.
Okay, Rhaegar Targaryen said, men think about great civilizations and wonder why they fall constantly.
Yes.
Hence the Roman Empire. It's well worth pondering. Also, RDJ for Black Batman. Not in 2024.
Yes. Oh, yes. The man, the dude disguised as the dude playing another dude. Yeah. Also, I mean, the other answer is, like, if they're going to do a black Bruce Wayne, you should just have one of the Wayans brothers play him, and that would be perfect.
But in whiteface.
Yes.
Perfect.
Marlon Wayans can play comedy Bruce Wayne. It'll be great.
Shane H. Wilder said, also, if we kill the bear, you get a new fur coat. I didn't think about that. That is a great point. I want one.
You skin a man, and suddenly everybody's looking at you funny.
Everyone loses their minds. Yeah. DCNC said, was about to call you fake Brit, Morley's redemption. And Saverick said, imagine you needed a remaining population dumbed down on consumption of media. The remaining population will be a permanent consuming class. Think 1984 or Idiocracy. Police state with brain slaves.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we are kind of in a permanent state of consumerism now anyways.
Imagine it. I don't need to imagine it.
You live in it.
Yeah.
One more.
Is there another one? I don't see it.
This one is from C2 Gaming. Says, ZUBY, I didn't expect to see you already after asking you if you were on a podcast tour on X this morning. Hi to you, PCC2.
Hi.
What's up? Shout out to you.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already, and share these videos with your friends. Again, that is the fastest and best way to help this channel grow, so thank you for that. And ZUBY, thank you.
No doubt, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
I'm on all social media at ZUBY Music. That is ZUBY Music. Definitely follow me on X. And you can check out my podcast, Real Talk with ZUBY, on all platforms. I just dropped an episode yesterday with Larry Elder. So go check that out. Real Talk with ZUBY. Go subscribe.
Perfect. There's a couple more there, Mary.
Oh, DCNC said, if Stormzy starts lifting as a chick, will he break your records?
Stormzy's a big dude, actually. Well, he's tall. He's tall. He's not jacked. No.
Okay. Gordon Shumway said, I had a friend tell me at the pub a month ago that she will never go to Starbucks again because they support
I think you meant Israel.
IDF, I guess. I told her I don't go because I don't want to pay $7 for crap coffee.
Yours is the more practical argument there, my friend. It's true. All right, Mary, where can they find you?
Yes, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And if you are mentally disturbed enough to want to watch me and Brett for another 2 hours today, we're going on Timcast IRL later tonight, so make sure to tune in.
Perfect. All right, then there's one more here from Potatoes for Shame. It says, Brett is so great and Mary is an Aussie. You wanted to give everyone your Australian accent?
I can't do it on cue like that.
You need a director to kind of really get you into character.
Right. Yeah. I need an accent coach.
You're just about to fight that angry kangaroo that you were telling us about, and you're kind of puffing up and showing bravado so the kangaroo won't attack you.
It's not coming out.
Okay.
It's not coming out right now.
That's my motivation here. That's my motivation. All right, guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch this show. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because we were banned and they will be banned soon, at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mary, there's one more there.
Yes, Shane H. Wilder said, we'll miss y'all while you're gone Monday through Wednesday. We'll try to keep Kellen in line. It won't be easy, but it's our duty.
Perfect. That reminds me. One more here from Sorenko Production says, PCC takeover of IRL. Let's go. And one more from Potatoes for Seamus says, make it come out. What does it say?
Come out, Mary. Do it.
Oh, the accent. You can do it.
Make it come out, Mary. Do it. I don't know.
That is a reminder before we go, guys. I was hoping we'd get a 5th Crisis Party before we go. But I do want to remind you guys that next Monday through Wednesday, Mary and I will be gone. We will be out of town, but this show will go on for those 3 days. Kellen will be sitting in this seat here, and he will have a bunch of guests to be on the show with him. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to enjoy it, and I hope you guys will enjoy it as well. So be sure to tune in those days, and then be sure to tune in after that because we'll have some brand new content coming from you from our journey. So with that being said, guys, we will be back with our next episode on Thursday, but the show will be back with another episode with Kellen and everybody on Monday. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.